Hey guys, welcome back to the Nerdattude Movie Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Frederick. I'm here with Matt and Alex and Giovanni.
Hi.
How's it going?
Don't do that.
I was the star of Batman. We know, buddy. We know.
We're back for our live show. So if you are watching live, thank you. If you're not, go die. We there's one guy who's gonna be like, all right.
Like, Lewis literally went from Hi Guys to Will Ferrell in Talladega Nights, where he's like, if you don't chew Big Red, go fuck yourself. Like, Lewis he skipped a couple steps.
Throw out that disclaimer. Don't go die.
I mean, don't actively search for death.
We're all gonna die someday.
You
Let's
know
just
what?
let that be the
You
one.
know,
What
who am
happened?
I to tell anybody how to live their life, as short as it may be?
You do you.
You be you.
Do yourself
So,
in some cases.
So we chose two movies that we didn't really plan this pick, but we happened to pick two new movies, which worked out
This
good.
review is out of wedlock. It was just two movies that came together and made a
like
review.
two ships in the night.
Oh God, passing in the night, honking.
So the movies we're doing, The Suicide Squad, not to be confused with Suicide Squad.
I fucked up in the description. I just put Suicide Squad, but I did put parentheses 20. I did put parentheses 2021.
Okay. Okay.
And,
Start over.
And
Which broke streaming record.
Did it?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Literally, all it is ammunition for HBO to go to the movie industry and say, so you still want to talk shit? You still want to ask us about our numbers and feasibility?
What's that character's name in fucking Simpsons?
Nelson.
Nelson. Yeah.
Who doesn't remember Nelson?
So the first movie we're doing is Suicide Squad. The second movie, you gotta keep listening to the episode if you want to know the second movie. How about that?
You
Ooh,
fucking
surprises.
assholes. I put it in the description, though.
Damn it! Fuck, it's nobody. The second movie is nobody. God damn it.
Whoops.
I am angry.
Oh, we got to stop doing that poor impression.
So, both of these movies have been out for a bit, so you should have hopefully watched them both.
Spoiler alert.
So we'll start with Suicide Squad. So this was directed by alleged pedophile James Gunn.
He's a pedophile. I know it.
Peter
He's a
Paul.
pedo.
Allegedly.
He's a pedo.
No, JK. Directed by James Gunn. It's obviously one of DC's shared universe movies. Budget for this, which I don't know how true this is. Budget was only $185 million.
Only 185 million. Whew. Boy, were they skimming off the top.
For a superhero movie, though, that's pretty low budget.
That is
Isn't
low,
that the
yeah.
problem with the industry? They have priced themselves out of being able to just make movies. Like, the fact that $185 million is a low budget for a superhero movie proves the reason why theaters are struggling, because they don't make movies for anything but blockbusters. That's all you get in theaters is, like, it used to be like, hey, did you catch that movie? No, oh yeah, word of mouth. And now it's like, you haven't seen the Avengers? Bro, they come out of portals and I cried.
Well, I feel like there wasn't a lot of CGI in this movie. It was what, the big baddie at the end and the weasel?
Minus the giant CGI villain.
Weasel.
The
Yeah,
weasel was
and the big
King
baddie.
Shark.
Did anyone? Somebody made a video game mod where the weasel actually plays. You like runs through it, and you have it's a shooter. I don't remember what it was, but
Oh, God,
I think
fucking weasel.
Biomutant.
That's
They
awesome.
created a
Amazing.
weasel skin for it.
I'm sitting next to a werewolf? What the fuck?
But yeah, so budget $185 million. Box office, because this did open in theaters too, $142 million, which is really good, and that doesn't account the HBO subscriptions.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to mention a couple people on the cast. So Joe Kinnaman is back. That's his.
Don't you disrespect
Pornhub
him? That man is a national treasure of Sweden.
So is he Swedish?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he doesn't have much of an accent. He's like trained it out of his voice. But yeah, I believe he got his start on Swedish television.
Oh wow.
Shit. Michael Rooker, Jai Courtney comes back. You have Sylvester Stallone, the Italian stallion.
I do
himself.
love Jai Courtney going back to Spartacus season 1.
Oh yeah, shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. When he had long golden locks.
You have Idris Elba, who is one of my favorite actors. Margot Robbie, who shouldn't even be in this movie. You also have
Tamara Weaving. She should have been in it.
She would be a better Harley Quinn.
Hell yeah, she would be. She's more fun.
What's the dude's name that you guys met at Blockbuster?
David Dashman or something like that?
Dashman, who plays Polka Dot Man.
Yeah, awesome. He's actually really awesome in it, too.
The 12th Doctor himself, Peter Capaldi, is in here. Pete Davidson, and Viola Davis, who
I hate her in this movie.
I do too, but she is the perfect casting for Amanda Waller, because Amanda Waller in the comics, you're just like, ugh.
Yeah, well, I liked her back when she was in The Help.
Matt and I talked about this, and I don't know if I mentioned it with anybody else, but like, her character in this movie versus the first one, it's like night and day.
It's literally like her first one was like, I gotta do what I gotta do. And in this one, it's just, she's evil. She's like, spoiler alert, we're gonna sacrifice the entire old school of nobodies mixed with this, simply as a diversion.
But that is Amanda Waller in the comics. She is a bad guy, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking the other day that James Gunn, this whole movie it's very James Gunn. It's very Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yep.
And I was thinking, like, the polar opposite of James Gunn in everything is Zack Snyder. Like, darker color palette, like, serious.
I will say
very,
Zack Snyder,
monotone.
but Zack Snyder does tend to include comedy in his things, though. I mean, look at the Dawn of the Dead remake. Like,
That's true.
He also does include dark humor into things. I would say they're alike in that maybe alone, but visually, stylistically, even writing, I'd agree, they're opposites.
Yeah, but Zack Snyder, usually when he includes humor, well, not the Army of the Dead movie, but usually it's like very focused. It's like at the right moment, whereas Marvel movies, it's like funny stuff. I can't take the scene seriously because funny stuff. Like,
it's literally like, I was just laughing and now Iron Man's dead.
Yeah.
Like, I really like Iron Man 3, but Iron Man 3 does not know what fucking tone to keep throughout the movie.
Yep.
It's literally jolly. His entire house and everything is destroyed and he's on the verge of death. And jolly again. Like, I like that movie, but the tonal imbalances, and that's, I think, the Marvel Universe's biggest problem in general. Alex,
well, I think
have you had anything to say, Alex? It looks like you've had.
No, I was going to say there's also another person that they said John Cena was in here, but I didn't see him anywhere.
John, motherfucker! I literally opened up the floor to that.
We should have not talked about him the entire review.
Yeah.
No, John Cena does a really good job in this movie.
He does.
I agree, and I think that's the biggest problem with this movie, is this movie shines in the in-between dialogue. Like, John Cena describing, if the whole island was full of dicks, he would suck each and every one of them for
chomp them all up,
for justice. There was, like, the moments of that was brilliant, and I felt like the tone, there were some imbalances in flow in this movie, and I think he should have had more of those scenes to fill.
The interaction between him and Idris Elba, I like the two.
Oh, they were great.
Together.
And I feel like if they would have had more levity and more comedy from those two, it would have made the ending that much more effective. Of just with him,
Mm-hmm.
Well, can we talk about the biggest problem with this movie, and that's Margot Robbie? Like, if you were to edit the movie and remove all of her scenes, even remove her from the diversion, like, just take her out of the lineup, the movie would still be good, if not better.
Well, and we've talked about this. The problem with Harley Quinn scenes in general in this movie is when she's not with them and she's solo, they feel like they were filmed for a completely, like it almost feels like they were scenes that were filmed for Birds of Prey and they just took for Suicide Squad.
Yeah, DC was like, no, you gotta use this.
Yeah, and like
it changes the tone entirely.
Yeah.
Every time she pops up.
She had made a comment that she feels she doesn't deserve her own movie. She's better as a side character than she is having her own. And that and like Margot Robbie said that's how she wants it to be.
She needs people to play off of is the problem. Like Harley Quinn by herself is boring because she's just kind of she's not even stupid. She's just crazy because she's technically a doctor. So it's
even as a side character, she doesn't work in this movie because like the one scene, the fucking she falls in love with a dude. There's the whole mansion scene.
Why is there a sex scene for Harley Quinn? I still maintain we in an industry with Me Too. And things like how we bitch that we over-sexualize characters. We dealt with Harley Quinn with Joker and all that bullshit. Why does she need any love interest? Like,
it would have been nice for Shark King to get a fucking love interest.
He would have.
I imagine King Shark has a micro penis.
Aw, poor King Shark.
He just wants friends.
I never thought of it that way. Poor guy.
I will say though, to the flow of the movie, to Matt's point and Alex's point. The Harley Quinn scenes, it's like this movie tries to put her forward as a main character, tries really hard, but the other characters do so well together that it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and then at the end the movie's like, but Harley Quinn saved the day, and it's like, fuck off.
The whole movie is set up for Idris Elba and John Cena to be the main players.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she comes in, it is kind of just like, hey guys, I'm here too. And it's like, it's like the little sister where it's like, can you fuck off for a little bit? We're playing.
Well, the problem
she did
with
have some funny stuff though.
Too is it's the other girl, Ratcatcher 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like she essentially is useless. Like there need no love triangle. Idris Elba, John Cena, your main characters, Ratcatcher 2, your supporting character. Get rid of Harley Quinn. Like just get rid of her. All like the reason I bring up the love scene between her and the random dude is I literally felt like I dozed off and woke up to a different movie. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
And that's where kind of the tonal imbalance is coming, because it does go from like that, not so much a buddy comedy, but it's that group kind of action and wit, and then it goes to like, oh, Harley Quinn falls in love within a little bit of time, and there's a sex scene, and then she blows his fucking head off. Like, I actually do like that part of the whole scenario. Is like the fact that she murders him in cold blood. It's just like, yeah. I do enjoy. Like, I think that's a smart way to round it out. But I do feel that was completely unnecessary to even have in there.
Those scenes definitely give me, and I don't know if James Gunn decided he wanted Harley Quinn in the movie, but it gives me vibes of studio fuckery. Because if you look at the side characters like Polka Dot Man, the Ratcatcher 2, their little bits of story you get from them are perfect. It's just enough. It's told well. So you clearly don't need these giant cuts, these giant stories. And like Matt said, those little quips between each character, those were the best parts of the movie. Those are absolutely the best parts of the movie.
Did anybody like Savant?
Hold on. So Fabian says, I want to die the way she killed the one guy while she was hanging. It did come out that was actually her doing the acrobatic and unlocking it with her toes and everything to...
Yeah,
maybe
really
feed your
that.
fantasy a little bit. That was legitimately her.
Oh, wow.
Mare Weaving's better, but whatever. I don't see the allure in Harley Quinn as much as like Margot Robbie's alright, but it's like, I mean, and here's the other thing is it's hard to put her top billing when her last two outings at Harley Quinn, like Birds of Prey flopped. Suicide Squad wasn't very well received. So, like, she hasn't, as of late, had a great track record for success in those movies, especially when you're talking, like, how much they made in the box office. Like, Birds of Prey, I think, did really badly. And that was also, around her.
It's also... it's also partly DC's fault because they have not really been... like, the MCU is like this... like this train that runs on time. The DCU is like someone with schizophrenia. because you have these hits, these misses, and these like, why did we make that movie? Like,
we're stopping here, goddammit. What's that? 4 years of our life? No, it's scrapped. We're gonna release this piece of shit.
which is why, like a couple reviews ago, when we were talking about the Snyder Cut, like I say, DC, stop with the universe shit. Just make your one shots. If you want to add a little Easter egg that ties it to another movie, that's fine. But stop trying to make everything put together with glue.
Well, how can you when it's literally now all of a sudden Michael Keaton is going to be in the Flash movie? How can you keep any sort of continuity in any timeline?
Andy Muschietti should have walked away from that Flash movie.
Literally, Marvel took 10 years to get into the Multitude of Madness and the Dimensional Realms. It's a decade of movies. And DC's just like, well, we made the Suicide Squad, which now we got to make all the other shit. You know how that goes. Like, it's.
I will say the new Spider-Man trailer has me excited.
I feel, at least at one part in the movie, Strange is the villain. They're setting him up to basically, like, whatever circumstances there are, because there's always going to be, like, he was possessed or blah, blah, blah.
It's going to be Strange from a multiverse, though.
Like,
it's not going to be...
Yeah, the whole thing is, I think Strange from the very beginning knew it was going to happen, but knew it had to happen for something else to happen. Because there's never any action in a Marvel movie anymore that just, literally, a pebble in a Marvel movie, 6 movies later gets explored.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is if Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland are in the movie, and we don't get the Spider-Man meme where they're all pointing at each other, the movie sucks.
All right, so I saw the trailer where Doc Ock comes out, right? To me, Doc Ock needs to come out. Another villain needs to come out beside him, ready to take on, and maybe the Goblin. You got Doc Ock, and a third from the different franchises, which would probably be Electro. They need to pop out of the dimension and start going after Tom Holland, ready to fucking murder him, like the scene in the actual PS4 video game. And
there's already been confirmed of Jamie Foxx back.
So that's the thing. So like if they do it smart, that scene ends with the other 2 Spider-Mans coming out of the portal and attacking Doc Ock and Green Goblin. Like, that's how that scene needs to go. If you're gonna go, especially since you gave people those Avengers scenes where they come out of all the fucking portals, it has to go the way where the villains show up and Tom Holland's like, well, I'm fucked, guys. And then the other 2 come out and Peter Parker's like, yeah, I'm old now. And Andrew Garfield's like, they only gave me 2 movies. What's up? You got 3.
They were both bad.
They need to introduce Miles Morales.
The Amazing Spider-Man was awesome.
The first one, yeah. The second one I didn't like so much.
But have you watched it, though? Because recently?
I own them.
Have you watched it recently?
Yeah, I watch them all the time.
See, I think like Electro scenes, people ripped on that, and I thought they were neat.
No, they were good.
Like,
I just didn't like the flow of the story. I thought was a little convoluted.
Saving Rhino to the last bit.
So I want to tie this back into Suicide Squad, because the thing that I like about this movie, and even the first one, for what it was, is Marvel since the beginning has been like it's been copy and paste, because it's like, let's do an Iron Man movie, and the villain who we're going to kill off is a main Iron Man villain. Let's do a Captain America movie. Captain America's arch nemesis, Red Skull, let's bring him in, kill him off. And it's like, why don't these movies bring the obscure villains from Batman? Mm-hmm. Because when you kill off main characters, like those should be like the Thanos level things. Like, don't bring in the Joker and fucking kill him. It's like, no, like Suicide Squad has proven, like, you have this C-list random ass characters in all of these comics. Why are they not bringing them in as villains and killing them off? Like, Mysterio. Mysterio's part of the Sinister Six. You killed him off.
Well, see, that's why did you? But here's the thing, though. In the Marvel universe now, besides Tony Stark, because Robert Downey Jr. is like, guys, I sleep on a pile of money. There's money on all of my couches. I don't have any room because my money is taking up everywhere and my vault hasn't been constructed. I want to retire. I want to go do another Sherlock Holmes. So he'll never come back. Well, I won't even say never. But anybody can come back. You'll get another form of Mysterio. They'll do time travel. Like,
well, now with the multiverse thing.
Yeah, because they are building, and Fabian even commented they're building towards the Sinister Six. Sinister Six, the worst band in the world.
It's a bunch of breadsticks.
Garlic, fucking Olive Garden.
No, but I
breadstick,
remember like go back 10 years ago, and I remember watching the first Iron Man, and it was cool. I was young. I was like, it's Iron Man, and I'm like, why is he fighting a main villain? Like we're introducing Iron Man. Why not one of the obscure Iron Man villains? Like why? And then it did it again for Captain America. I was like, why is he fighting Red Skull? Like
So was the dude from Iron Man 2, Mickey Rourke, was he a main villain in the comics?
Whiplash, yeah.
Oh, that's right. It is Whiplash. Do you guys like Iron Man 2? Because I do.
I do like it. The problem is
hate on that movie.
when these comics came out in the 60s,
I think it was just the music.
The artists were like, let me make a superhero. I don't want to put too much thought into a villain. Let me make a carbon copy of him, which is why you have like Venom and Iron Man's. All of Iron Man's villains are villains with Iron Man like armor, and
it's all based around military weaponry, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Because even one of his biggest guys, I can't remember his name to be honest with you, was the other military contractor, which they brought into the movies too. That played by Sam. Fuck his last name, Elliot or whatever. Not Elliot, the other one. Sam.
To Matt's point.
Oh yeah, Sam Rockwell.
They introduced the multiverse. They did it correctly. So now they can bring in whoever they want. They can have 1,000 Mysterios. They can have 1,000 Spider-Mans. They can have,
To Lewis's point, the fact that they can do that and still don't tap into the kind of expendable C-list heroes is the bigger problem. Where it's like, and I understand that at this point, Marvel has so many heroes that are popular that like they have a full roster of people they can put in movies.
You have to think about the audience they're using too. That they're going
like
for.
Batman. We've had a bajillion Batman movies. We've had no Batman movie where he fucking fights Man-Bat.
No. Well, it's always been the same though. I mean, the only one you didn't get in the Nolan trilogy of the big ones, you didn't get Penguin or Riddler. Like really, and Nolan was different though. Nolan basically like, if Ledger would not have died, Joker would have been the villain for two of them. Because Joker's performance completely overshadows Harvey Dent's angle. By the end of the movie, you don't give two shits about Harvey Dent, and that's proven by the fact that Joker is the last scene and the last person Batman comes across. Well, no, he is Harvey Dent at the end, but I mean, literally every time I watch that movie, once he has Joker hanging upside down, I'm like, I can end it here. Like I don't know. He should have been the main villain, and that would have set a different tone. But look what the industry did right away, though. Nolan makes these masterpieces and basically tells people superhero movies can be Oscar-worthy. And at this point, all Marvel does is produce, like, highly over-CG'd, over-budgeted, like...
It's because it sells, man.
Yeah, and I understand, but, so does a carnival. But every now and then, and Black Widow, a carnival ride goes awry. And that's why things are getting delayed. There's all these reports of Kevin Feige sweating because Black Widow didn't make nearly enough. Because once again, 198 million's low budget. What did Marvel pay for Black Widow?
I honestly think Eternals is going to be their second bomb.
I actually one of the few that I have interest in.
I do too, but I don't think it's going to do well.
No, I mean the problem is right now you cannot expect theaters to bring in those profits. Like, I understand we are trying to go back to normal, but I mean, we're in Chicago or Illinois. The governor just mass mandated the entire state again. People are not going to want to sit around in rooms. I don't care how far apart they are again, with masks on with each other, not being able to enjoy themselves. Like, the theater industry is gonna, if this continues, it's gonna take another huge hit after just starting to rebound. Like, this doing 100-something million in theaters, is 140, I think you said, is huge. But this is not going to become common again. And they know it. That's why all these movies are getting delayed until March of next year. Why? Because on the news, the politicians and Fauci said maybe by spring of next year. So now they're hedging their bets for spring of next year when we can all come out of hibernation and breathe, I guess.
Getting back to the budget thing you were saying, Birds of Prey was 84 million budget. They made worldwide 201 million.
Oh, that's bad.
Ooh.
That's really bad.
I mean, I didn't think it would be that. I mean, 81 million seems fairly cheap. I mean,
84 million for budget, and they made 201 million.
Yeah, but they marketed the shit out of that movie because they were coming high off of Harley Quinn pretty much making money for the Suicide Squad movie. I honestly think even if COVID was not going on, I think these Marvel movies I think Black Widow would have done well, but I think it would have done well for a Marvel movie. I feel like a lot of people our age are kind of like still coming off of this high of like the Infinity Saga. I'm excited for these new movies, but it's like what are except for Spider-Man, like all of these new movies coming up, they've piqued my interest, but not. I don't know. Like after the Infinity War and Endgame, it's like I kind of just need to be wowed again.
And yeah, it's almost like they blew their load. Like it's
exactly.
Kind of, that's okay. That was great. That was worth, I guess, 10 years of culmination. Now what?
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you beat a video game and you want to play something else and you're just like, I need to wait a bit. Like, I just need a moment. Like that's how I feel with superhero movies.
Well, I'm looking forward because I really did dig the Shazam, so I'm looking forward to that sequel. I thought that was a good one. Like if you guys hear squeaking, which I'm sure you have, my young doggy here, Yoshi. If you watch the stream, you know Yoshi. He was just playing with a toy.
Fabian and Julian are both commenting on my shirt.
So have you, Fabian and Julian? Have you guys watched the movie called Chef? If so, does Alex look like him by the end of the movie? Put it in the chat. Don't forget to smash that like button.
Fabian asked, what's on my shirt? They're palm trees. And then Julian asked where I got it from DXL.
He literally stole it off of a body he found at the beach.
Dude, I had an awkward Instagram experience. I have a book Instagram account where I just, post shit about books. And I posted the picture of these Creepshow shirts that I got. I got 2 of them off of, I think, Society 6. Or no, TeePublic. And I get a comment. I'm going to bleep
that out. We're not giving free advertisements.
I get a comment saying, like, oh, cool shirt. Where'd you get that? And I responded. And then I get a DM. And before I open the DM, I look at the guy's profile. And it's the fucking producer for Creepshow, the TV series.
Nice.
No, it's not nice because the DM is like, hey, did you buy that like off of our merch store? And I'm like, my wife bought me this shirt off of TeePublic. And then I get another response saying, do you know the artist? I just stopped replying.
Oh.
Because TeePublic, anyone can steal designs and post it on there.
Cease and desist.
And then he followed me on my fucking account. So I was like, oh boy. And it's funny though, because before Shay got me the shirts, she showed me them because a company I like called Fright Rags.
Stop saying company names, goddammit.
No, they license out horror licenses, and they paid for a license for Creepshow, and right now they're selling the shirt at Spirit Halloween. And Shay had told me, she's like, I could just buy you one off of TeePublic. And I was like, no, I'd rather support the artist. And she bought it anyways. And then I have the fucking producer DM me like, who's the artist that made that for you? So I was like, this is really awkward.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And then you ghosted him.
Yeah, then I ghosted him.
You should just not respond and then come back with, hey, you want to do an interview on my podcast?
Yeah.
Then he won't bother you at all. He'll be like, oh, fuck, never mind.
I looked him up, and then I looked up like his other profile, and then I looked up like on IMDb, and I'm like, this is the real fucking dude. Like shit.
Did he have the little check mark?
So, Fabian said he loves the movie Chef. Fabian, Alex, does he look like why can't I remember his name?
His character, the guy's name?
No, the actor. What's the actor's name? I can't remember. John Favreau.
Heavy Hogan.
By the end of the movie, Jen says he does. So we've got one, and then us 3 say it as well. So we're winning this one, guys. Back to Suicide Squad. Normally we kind of go through the storyline and shit, but this movie's still, I think, fairly new enough where if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's still not spoiler free. what Lewis was kind of touching on was James Gunn smartly tapped into characters that most people don't know about, A, and definitely B, don't give a shit about. So the opening scene is literally an ambush that wipes out all of these characters you've seen in every trailer except for John Cena, Margot Robbie, Joel Cinnamon, and and who was the other one? Idris Elba wasn't part of that. Was that
Davison gets wiped
was it
out.
DK?
Was it just Margot Robbie and Joel Cinnamon that survived?
Yeah. Oh, Weasel.
Yeah, that's it. The Weasel.
But at the end, you realize it, yeah. But literally, the whole idea is Nathan Fillion gets wiped out. Pete Davidson.
Courtney.
Yeah, Jai Courtney. Yeah, Boomerang.
It took me 3 times to watch it to finally find out that TDK stands for the detachable kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I missed it 2 times.
Which was a goofy ass scene. And like when they start going at it,
When his arms come off.
Yeah, and you because it's a superhero movie, you kind of have this like, no, it'll work out fine for them. And then they all just get shredded.
Yeah, they get destroyed.
And it's brilliant that they do it that way. It's just really fucked up in the context of the story because like they were literally sacrificed because she wanted them gone. Like it was deliberate. She knew they'd be slaughtered, did it on purpose for whatever reason because she's an evil bitch, frankly.
So one thing I didn't really like was the back and forth of like hours
That's where you got the
before.
shirt from, Alex. Sorry, Lewis.
Well, I told him already.
Big sexy. Oh, sexy. He said it's sexy.
The transitions of like hours before, this ahead. Like I don't like that. I do like.
I didn't dig it either.
I do like the. I don't know what it would be called, but the style of transition where there's words or text in the scene, whether it be behind you or making up. Like, I feel like that's perfect for comic book movies.
So like Zombieland.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like
embedded in the scene, yeah.
That lends it.
Doesn't The Boys
to
do that too?
Comic book movies.
The
I thought there was a couple scenes where The Boys did it.
in the first season, I think. I don't know if they carried on with that. I don't remember. I gotta watch the second season over. Maybe it says it was to make sure that the second team didn't have to fight anyone. I understand that, but it wasn't a battle to where they could win. She just completely sent them in knowing they were dead. Like it
was more of a deterrent. It was take the.
Despite it being but she literally, it was a sacrifice. She sent all of them there to die, assuming they'd all be slaughtered, and most of them were.
But that changed when she found out Flag was still alive, though.
Well, then you do have scenes towards the end, like when the one of the other women that are working there decks her with the what was that, binders or whatever she hit, or a broom or something, right?
Yeah.
And you like, and
it wasn't the golf club.
Was it? No.
Yeah,
it was a golf club.
Because she was playing golf. She was trying to.
And that's the thing is, like, they build her up to be this villain, and the whole time you're like, I wish somebody would deck this bitch. And finally somebody does, and it is one of the like, yeah, all right, cool. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say one of the coolest scenes is the kill off between Idris Elba and John Cena.
Yep.
Yeah. I see John Cena, in my opinion, shines the best. Like, he had the funniest lines. His dialogue was ridiculous. Like, he really, and then like the fact that he's that character throughout the movie, and then is just such an evil, villainous cocksucker at the end, is a great. That really flip on the ass. Like, from him to go to like, and they allude to it throughout the whole movie. Every time he talks about freedom, then they talk about basically he's a mercenary. Like, in the name of justice, they make those type of fucking quips at him. And then eventually at the end you see the true colors, and it's he's nothing more than a puppet to, the lady controlling everything. And yeah, so I do love his dynamic the most.
Yeah, he's getting his own TV show too.
Yep.
Yeah. He does have a moment though where he's not sure what he's doing is right, but then he instantly goes back to being that asshole.
Yeah, for liberty and justice.
Julian for liberty and justice.
The movie is called Suicide Squad. LOL. Thank you, Captain Obvious. We know. We're
I love
reviewing.
actually Polka Dot Man's character.
Yeah.
He was like, he had a complex backstory, clearly some mental issues. I loved his character.
If he didn't purge the polka dots, he dies.
Yeah.
That's sort of.
It was great. And to Anthony's point, it's great. They took an obscure character. They made him totally, like, they
He
made
was
him in the
likable.
movie, likable. Not only likable, but like
His character's
he
pretty
mattered.
hardcore too.
Yeah,
Like,
he
his
mattered.
power isn't
Yeah.
anything to fucking sleep on. Like, yeah, they're polka dots, but they reminded me of the Pixel aliens in Pixels. Like, it just consumes and destroys almost.
Yeah.
His power actually is somewhat reminiscent of
Gambit.
the Snap almost too. Like, it just turns shit to dust. His polka
Yeah.
dots.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Gambit when he touches the cards and he fucking makes them.
Why hasn't there been a Gambit movie? Like, I know now they have to reintroduce the mutants and everything now that Disney owns every fucking property you can think of.
Is it because Timothy Olyphant is not young anymore? Because wasn't he Gambit at first, and wasn't he supposed to get a
No,
spinoff?
No, it was
the
going to be
kid from-
Channing Tatum.
Was it?
No, but the guy
And
who actually played Gambit in the Wolverine origin movie was the guy who was in that John Carter of Mars movie.
No, the Gambit spin-off movie was going to be Channing Tatum.
That would have been interesting.
I'm glad it didn't go through because
You don't talk shit about Channing Tatum, bro.
I like him, but I don't think he could have did the Cajun accent or
Yeah,
anything.
you need to go watch 21 and 22 Jump Street. Report back to me. I like those movies. The movies are awesome, in my opinion. So, more thoughts on this movie, or are we ready to give final thought?
Well,
Channing
okay, so the main villain in this movie, Starro. I feel so bad for Starro, man. Starro was technically not a villain. He just wanted to do his own thing and fucking stare at the stars. And if you don't know who Starro is from the comics, Starro is the first main villain for the Justice League.
They basically turned him into a kaiju.
Yeah. Well, that's essentially what Starro is in the comics. There's a cool scene where Batman clones Starro, and
Robin, right?
he becomes Robin, and he refers to Batman as Dad. So every time Batman's like, "Go do this," he's like, "I'm on it, Dad," and it's literally a starfish in a Robin costume with a cape.
I'll have to look that one up. I like that.
Yeah. But I think that's pretty fucking cool that James Gunn was like, I'm gonna use Starro, and no one's gonna know what the fuck this is about. Like, that's the most obscure villain he could have chose for this movie.
Yeah, you got to give him. He's got some balls on him because he had to push for that shit. Like, it wasn't just as simple as like James Gunn says he wants to do it. Like, there was probably a couple things where he was like, "All right, guys, here's my ideas. Let's talk."
Yeah, you also got to remember too, he took this movie on after being quote unquote fired from Disney.
Yep.
So
Being a
I'm sure
pedophile.
when he took this movie on, he told DC like, okay, you guys are giving me a job. I just came from, you saw my Guardians of the Galaxy shit. Like, I want to do what I want to do. And I'm sure DC was like, cool, but can you please use Harley Quinn? Like, we'll let you do whatever you want, but please just use Harley Quinn. And I
She
feel
has
like
plans
that's
for
what
her,
happened.
but we'll see what happens.
She's the
I
only thing in
feel
the
like
Batman
Studio
universe
fuckery
that
in
works.
this movie.
I feel like it wasn't studio meddling to a point. DC Studios was like, make your movie, but just add these couple scenes. We'll let you do whatever you want. And he's like, just fucking copy and paste Harley Quinn in these couple scenes.
You do have to wonder if the studio had more suggestions though. Like, can you get Aquaman in it? And it's like, no. Like, I'd have to imagine there was some.
That's why they landed in the water.
Some executive that's just like, I have an idea. What if Batman shows up? And
And
James
James
Gunn's
Gunn is like, what if he doesn't?
yeah,
Like,
have you not been listening to my pitch the entire fucking time? Like, the whole point is this is not a Batman movie. Yeah, okay, I got you. What if Superman has a scene? And then it was like, no, because there's a whole fucking casting thing of Superman now. He doesn't, like, nobody's playing Superman as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
which is stupid because The Witcher was a good Superman in my opinion.
Julian wrote that the original concept, or one of the early concepts, was having Superman as the main villain, which would make sense when you have lines like, he was in prison for putting Superman in the ICU for using a kryptonite bullet, which I think, to be honest, may have been a little bit more interesting. If you had Superman as the villain, that probably would have. I would have liked that, just to see. I want to see Superman do damage. Like, that's why Man of Steel I like so much, because he fucks people up in that movie.
Speaking of which, I was just at the Superman Fest in Plano, which was really weird that I just happened to be there.
Okay.
Yeah, really weird. Really weird. We went to...
Who was
what?
who was the Superman before him?
Brandon Routh.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a good Superman, too. He looked the part.
He looked the part of classic Superman.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
See the footages. That's a word, guys. Footages brought to you by Nerdattude Podcast. Did you see the footage of Nicolas Cage in the Superman suit?
Yeah.
It's
It's a
so
little
weird.
with his long hair. Like he was filming Con Air, and then in his off time, he was like, "Let's get into the suit."
He has his own suit though. He's like, let me put on my suit. I
Yeah.
don't need yours.
This one
Yeah,
smells of rich mahogany.
That's part of a Kevin Smith documentary, I think, about the movie that was never made, the Superman movie.
Yep.
Which would have been directed by Kevin Smith, so it probably would have been hot trash.
Yeah, he writes good characters, does not direct good movies. Although I really like Clerks too, but it's not because it's particularly filmed well. You guys ready for doing the hot dogs?
Sure.
Yeah.
Alex, go for it.
Wait, hold on,
No.
before you do that. What
I'm
would
gonna
you
go
have
anyway,
rated? What would you have rated the Suicide Squad, the first movie?
And,
Me?
you know,
Yeah.
we're doing that. All right.
The first Suicide Squad for me would have been about a 3.5
Okay.
because I did like some of the characters that were being introduced, and there was fun. You know, people not believing the fucking chip in their neck and trying to fucking get away. And then what's his name? Oh, that shit freaked me out.
Like no blood in that movie either.
Yeah.
No, it's PG-13. And then for the unrated, or they didn't even have an unrated. Did they have an unrated cut? Yeah, they did.
I didn't
And the
see
unrated
it.
cut was all CG blood. It wasn't even like practical effects.
But yeah, that would have been a 3.5. This one for me is still going to be a 3.5. It's I'm gonna stay the same. I liked fucking Shark King. That was his fucking thing about the mustache, and him fucking reading a book upside down. It was like a good comic relief. And John Cena, I liked him in the movie too. I mean,
So you were able to see him.
yeah, I saw him.
Nerd.
So it would have been 3.5 for both for me. Who's next?
All right, I'll go. The first Suicide Squad is a 2. I hate that fucking movie.
Wow.
This Suicide Squad,
Tell us how you really
the
feel.
comedy's great. Yeah, John Cena. I said it before and I'll say it again. He needs to do more comedy. He's great in comedy. It works for him. He's funny.
Serious comedy?
Well, he's
No,
got that
just
new movie
comedy.
coming out where he's like a beach goer or like a vacationer or whatever. That looks pretty funny.
Yeah, it's out now.
Yeah, the
It's out now on Hulu.
families. Yeah, he bothers the other
It's on
family members.
Hulu?
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
No shit.
The Hulu release.
I'll be watching that tonight.
It has Idris Elba in here. I love Idris Elba. Love the use of obscure characters. Didn't like Harley Quinn, but this is the 4 for me, for sure. This is the 4. It was a much better movie all around.
Louis, I'm gonna open up the.
Oh, the
40.
penis scene was
God
awesome
damn it.
too, guys. Everybody loves the penis scene. I love the penis scene.
What scene?
Oh, yeah.
No, just
The penis scene.
You talking about the blue penis?
No, when the guy gets shot in fucking
Oh.
in this scene right here behind me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. My scores are actually the same as Giovanni. The first Suicide Squad sucked. There were a lot of things wrong with it. You can't make a PG-13 movie that has suicide in the title. It's kind of an
Yeah.
oxymoron. Supposedly there is an Ayer cut that there was a lot of studio meddling, but whatever. That movie's a 2. This one's a 4. The only thing about this movie is we've had Guardians of the Galaxy 1, 2, now this. James Gunn needs to switch it up a bit. I don't need every movie to have this style.
Can I suggest
Right.
you just skip superhero movies altogether now and make Lollipop Chainsaw a movie?
Oh yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
That would be
amazing.
good.
I mean, just do that. You wrote the entire goddamn thing. Just make a movie out of it.
But he's very much made himself in the superhero universe or cinema. He's kind of made himself like a Zack Snyder. Like he has that style. let's hope he doesn't pull an Army of the Dead and go way off the beaten path.
He literally
But
every movie he makes prints money.
Yeah, exactly. But I'd like to see him try
with his picture on it.
something else, because I felt like watching this movie, I was like, this is like Guardians of the Galaxy, which is cool, and then I was like, this is kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy. Like,
I almost wish it had more of the levity that Guardians has, though. Like, Guardians is much more of a comedy action than this is. Like, this is an action with comedy. I do wish they would have...
He got to work with... Sorry, go ahead. Finish. Michael Rourke in all the movies. So go ahead.
Oh, I just wish they would go a little bit more like... I wish he would have done a little bit more humorous in this. Because by the end of the movie, it is a rather dark film.
yeah.
You know, like, they you know, it may not be shot dark and brooding and blurry like Zack Snyder style, but it's not a happy movie by the end of it. Like, there could be a lot of reality that slaps you in the face.
Yeah, but I that's not me saying I didn't like this movie. It's just when there's a director where I'm like 2 or 3 movies in and I'm like, I like this. It's like the next movie, like, try something a little different. Like, I want to see what else you can do. And James Gunn has clearly proven that he can make superhero movies that fucking sell.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is easily a 4 out of 5 for me.
My turn, I suppose.
Yes.
The original I'll give a 2.5. I thought it was just kind of a dumb action flick. It wasn't cohesive, but you go in just looking for them to, like, shoot fake zombie looking things, that's your movie. I give it a 2.5 easy, because that's what it ends up boiling down to. It's so, the original Suicide Squad is just so formulaic. Like, literally, it is ragtag group of people that are expendable, a la the Expendables. Goes into death-defying mission against a supernatural force, succeeds. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just whatever. And then they have the weird-looking zombie things that are encrusted by the... I don't give a fuck. So, yeah, 2.5. This one I'll give a 4. I liked it. I wanted more. I liked the funny dialogue so much I wanted more. I think loading more of it in there between John Cena, Idris Elba, or just John Cena throwing lines out, you know, yeah, I think that would have been amazing. The Margot Robbie scenes, I don't hate them. Besides, I don't understand why you have to have the main female character have a love storyline. Literally no other character had really love, you know, besides the shark, he wanted to love somebody. But like
he wanted somebody to love him.
So to me it's not needed. Let her be a badass. I don't need the sex scene. I don't need her falling in love to make her shooting that guy in cold blood any more impactful. And that's, I think, a problem in Hollywood in general. Is, like I said, we preach about, you know, these movies are over-sexualized. You have Scarlett Johansson to all the time about it. Meanwhile, James Gunn gets a free pass of like, hey, he's a female main, huh? Do a sex scene. Other than
He's
that,
old school.
yeah, it's like, you know, he's of the Weinstein
I've
era.
never heard him talk. Does he have a British accent?
No, he's American. He moved to London because he's pretentious. He's not.
What's
British.
more American than the last name Gunn? He's American, goddammit.
Named after my favorite tool.
Is that why Johnny Depp moved to fucking England too?
Well, he's also
Johnny Depp's a
pretentious.
weirdo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's super pretentious.
And
like
now
Johnny
he's adopted the accent.
Yeah, I've maintained I like Johnny Depp, but I like Johnny Depp movies starring Johnny Depp. Like every fucking character's got a new accent, and he's never Johnny Depp. And it's just like he perfect or was it Perfect Enemies?
Public Enemy.
Public Enemies is awesome because he's just a guy. He's not a fucking fairy tale creature.
I don't think Johnny Depp knows who Johnny Depp is anymore.
Not anymore.
Well, he literally probably walks around his house like, "Where's older Rum going?" Because he's a fucking Elkie on top of it. All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick break. We will be back with Nobody.
Yeah, Nobody, the movie that was supposed to be a fucking surprise, but is not.
Yeah, literally. Hey, let's make a movie where it's just like John Wick, but not really. And we're gonna tell everybody the basic premise. Like, literally, the training videos of Bob Odenkirk came out before the fucking movie did.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a DVD extra. All right, we'll be right back, guys. We're gonna take a quick break to drain the lizards.
Back, guys.
Don't you
We'll
ever
be
use
back.
that accent again. I will cut your lips off.
God.
I'm gonna. Yay, we're back.
Hey.
All right, so the second movie we chose is Nobody.
Nobody's nerfed.
This movie was supposed to be in theaters, I believe, and kind of got like pushed towards
It hit
VOD.
theaters. But like every movie right now, like look at the Snake Eyes movie. It was in
That's
theaters
true.
like what,
Yeah.
25 days or something, and then they threw it to digital. It was one of those
Was
where
it?
it's Snake Eyes is already on
Shit.
digital. It just came out.
Holy shit!
It's
But
crazy.
even with that budget for this, 16 million, box office 56.7 million, which is actually really good.
For 16 million, it is a well-filmed movie. Like you don't ever look at it like, this had budget constraints, didn't it?
Yeah. So for cast, I just want to go through a couple people. So Bob Odenkirk, who you would never picture in a movie like this, who I think
No.
is perfect in this movie.
Even he says I've been a comedian all my life. Like this is not something I ever thought about doing.
You have. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't realize. I didn't realize that the fat fuck was Michael Ironside because he looks like he really let himself go.
Dude, I saw him in the credits, and when he comes on screen, I audibly was like, "There's Michael Ironside," and I was like, "He looks awful.
He looks bad.
Like he is not Sam Fisher.
No,
He's not Richter
no.
anymore. Welcome to the party, Victor."
Dude who gets chopped up like a bunch of little pieces. Colin Salmon from Resident Evil. He's in here. You also have RZA, who actually does a good job in this movie.
He's not bad.
I like RZA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
I do.
Then,
Christopher
then-
Lloyd.
I'm white. I say RZA. Fuck you.
and
I
then
like
so
acronyms.
you have Christopher Lloyd, who I think for all his scenes they just showed up to his house and recorded where he was in the retirement home that he lives at.
Dude,
Um,
like when I first saw him, I was sad, and then he's playing basically a character that just doesn't do much, and it's like, oh damn it, Doc Brown. By the second half of the movie, it's like, all right, they're doing him some justice. All right.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
you
loved
also,
him.
You also have Connie Nelson, who is we'll get to her in the movie. And
I have some
yeah,
stuff to say about her that may surprise you.
yeah, and then you have this other guy, Oleski Serberduber. Oh man, we'll get to him too.
What does he play?
He's the bad guy.
He's the Russian,
main bad guy.
Russian,
He's the bad guy.
Okay.
All right,
main
so
Russian.
Yeah.
so we
yeah.
could just jump into this movie.
Singing, dancing mobster.
So
Discotheque mobster.
I guess I'll let you guys go because I have quite a few things that I did not like about this.
No.
movie.
I want to hear him because I've been waiting all fucking day. So you go on.
All right, so well the elephant in the room is this movie's biggest problem is John Wick. It follows all the same beats as John Wick, which is fine. That's fine.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna let you finish, but I am gonna disagree with you when you're done.
Yeah, so follows kind of the same structure as John Wick, which is fine. But my problem is that the John Wick series, and let me preface this by saying I really like this movie. The John Wick series is kind of like it's tighter than this movie. It's more focused. It's got bits of humor in it, but it kind of stays on this somewhat steady line. And all three movies are like that. This movie, I felt like at times suffered from an identity crisis. Because the beginning of the movie, you have these jump scenes, boom, boom, boom. It's going through the days, and you're like, okay, like I get this vibe, that's cool. You're introduced to Hutch, and you're like, okay, he's a normal dude. You're introduced to his family. And the movie, like, tries to play into the, like, let's make it kind of serious. And now let's go back and forth, and now let's make it really goofy. And to me, it's hard to not compare it to John Wick because John Wick it's just more like we're gonna go on these beats and we'll jump off a little. But this movie feels like, to me, it felt like at a certain point the movie flipped of like we're gonna be goofy, like. And I think if the movie was that way the entire way through flat, it would have been better. Because like it's hard to compare because it does the backbone of this movie is the basis for John Wick. You wouldn't have this movie without John Wick. Actually, the I think it's the producer or the director wants to do like a crossover between them, which sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, they said this is supposed to be in the same universe.
I mean,
But
sorry.
I'll finish up. But it was hard. Like I got kind of bummed out in the middle of the movie because I'm like, man, I can't not compare this to John Wick, and I can't not see these cool scenes and think John Wick does it better. And I wouldn't think that way if this movie didn't sort of follow the same kind of structure that the John Wick movies do. But I can believe Bob Odenkirk, whose character, his casting is fucking fantastic. But the scenes where it tries to be a little more serious, and then it gets like humor, and then it gets like fucking really goofy. The analogy I made to myself the other day, I was like, I feel like watching John Wick is like playing Grand Theft Auto, and watching this movie was like playing Saints Row. I don't know if that makes sense, but like this movie got a little too goofy, which again would have been fine if it was like A to B.
All the way through.
We know we're goofy, but
Yeah, that's where I kind of disagree with you, though, because not for 1 minute did I watch this movie thinking it was the level of seriousness of John Wick. And I don't feel like there is a couple serious scenes, namely when the robbery first happens, and then shortly after that, after he starts to get into deep again, where the violence starts, which we'll get to. Those, but I didn't get the movie, like I got the scenes of like, okay, they're setting it up to where it's like no more fun and games, like these people are going to try to kill him. But I never took this movie as seriously as John Wick. And one thing I think, I don't mean this in like where I think you missed it, but my interpretation was much different. And I feel this movie has a better storyline as far as structure and cohesiveness than all three John Wicks combined. Not only that, but the character in this movie is explored in a different and, in my opinion, better way. John Wick, they still, 3 movies later, have barely explored the character. What is the storyline in every John Wick? He has to kill people because people are trying to kill him. It barely gets more intricate than that.
It's also, see, the problem, though, is like the John Wick, if you two want to jump in, please jump in. But
No, I'm just listening.
The John Wick trilogy essentially starts off because it was just a bad situation. Of they happen to kill his dog, he happened to be John Wick,
and
this movie follows the same structure where he just happens to be on the bus, and it's like that's fine. Like you're gonna have that cohesive, like it's again, you would not have this movie if you didn't have John Wick. But I do feel
I think that's a problem with modern day action movies in general. Like,
yeah,
how do you do a great action movie without infusing that flavor now?
I do feel like
True.
there's a section in this movie where it's like we're gonna up the goofiness, and
well, that's the ending when they bring in mainly RZA and Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah,
like and I will agree, it does go from like his solo journey to like, oh, okay, this is kind of a goofy,
but I almost wish it didn't, because Bob Odenkirk's character, like he did such a good job of. In the beginning, the movie, something's up, and you can tell in scenes he's holding himself back. And when he finally unleashes after the bus scene, no, not even after the bus scene, after the bus scene, after the house invasion, that's where the goofiness just kind of went a little too high for me, and I wish it kind of stayed a little tighter.
Yeah, but okay, so
the whole.
Go on.
I was gonna say, so are you talking about like the whole thing? The reason why he flipped is because his daughter lost a bracelet, and he went to their house. And
no, even that's fine, because I mean you can tell from the beginning of the movie like something's off with Bob's character.
Well, see, and that's my whole point about why I said that the character building is so much better, because you said he's just a normal guy. I disagree. By the end of the movie, you need to understand that this is like an alcoholic. This is not the first time he's slipped back into the life.
Well, no, sorry. When I meant normal guy, I mean like Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, but what they don't do a good enough job of is conveying the idea, and ties into the wife as well. Beginning of the movie, you're like, this boy, she's a bitch to him, And then by the end of the movie, you understand this isn't the first time. She knows and has known who he is the entire time.
Well, it does make it seem like she does, but then there's like in the middle of the movie, it makes it seem like she doesn't know what's going on.
I think
when
she
he
knew
opens up his
entirely
basement.
who he was.
At the beginning, I thought she knew. I was like, oh, she knows.
The only scene
and then something happened later that I was like, oh, she doesn't know.
Where he unlocks the basement.
Yeah.
She has this like, what the fuck look on her face.
That-
but
exactly.
I think that's more like, what the fuck, you still have shit like this going on? Like, I think that was more like kind of like this was done type thing.
I got the vibe where she knows who he was, she knows his past. She's never seen it up front. It's never been brought to the home
You get the feeling
the
that
way
at
it
one
was
point,
in this attack.
You get the feeling at one point she was an operative. The way he talks to her in that one scene where it's like, it's almost like at one point she was on the job too. And I would have loved that to be more. Their relationship definitely is one of the parts of this movie
It was a little
I wish
confusing
would have
for
been
me,
more
though.
explored.
See,
it was a little
I
confusing.
hate the chemistry between all four of them. I hated. I didn't like. I felt like Bob Odenkirk did a really good job of being the like I'm holding myself back.
Yeah.
I don't think she did a good job because like I was confused by her. Like I know by the end of the movie she knew something. You know, she knows her husband to an extent, but I feel like her acting was so wonky that it just didn't come through.
You can't tell if she's pissed, if she's disappointed, or if she just doesn't, if she's indifferent.
And the son also too. That kid was a bad actor.
Seriously, he was more annoying than the Breaking Bad kid.
Yeah.
As hard as that is to process, I would have taken old Crutches over that guy.
But I think Bob Odenkirk did such a good job because even when he's interacting with his kids, it's almost like an out of body experience. Like he has to, you can tell in his character he's having to like, kind of step back, be like, no, I can't
Well,
act like I want. I can't get angry like I want to get angry.
The way he creates his character progression is amazing because it literally goes from this dude's down in the dumps, his kids don't, his daughter loves him, she's cool, the wife doesn't respect him, and that's kind of where you first get that. The kid clearly doesn't respect him, and then it gets worse after he doesn't beat to death the woman with the unloaded gun, which you come to find out later. And I do want to say, I think part of the problem you have with the goofiness is they load it in there at times when the character itself is cracking. Literally, when he goes to get the bracelet back from them, it's goofy, but it's because he's cracking. And I do think the pivotal scene is the bus scene, and it's not even the beginning of the bus scene. When he gets thrown out that window, because before that he's going to injure. He's not going to kill. He just wants to stop them and put them down. And then when he gets thrown out the window, that's when his flip actually switches. Because he, at that point, goes to kill. He starts, the first guy that attacks him after that, he starts stabbing in the chest repeatedly. And I personally love that. And I love the way they built the character as kind of this nobody respects him guy. His brother-in-law is a military guy who never saw any combat, but he acts like he's this military hero. Michael Ironside, you could tell his father-in-law feels bad for him. He understands it's got to be frustrating to have to work for your father-in-law. Part of me did feel like, did Michael Ironside kind of know what this guy was? Like,
yeah, and he buys the fucking company with gold bars,
which is way too much of a ripoff of John Wick.
That's another John Wick thing.
When I saw gold bars, I was like, no.
The problem is after the bus scene, it's where the movie starts to, like, it starts to bum me out a little because it's where it gets a little too goofy for me.
He actually saves one of the guys.
Doc Brown and his fucking goofiness, and
I love Doc Brown in this though. I love Doc Brown in this.
I did too.
Let me ask you.
I did.
Would you really have enjoyed this movie if it just stayed dark though? Like, the problem is you can't have this movie be goofy from start to finish. You have to set up, because people get murdered in this movie. You can't keep a goofy comedy. Okay, so what if, would you have rather had it just stay completely dark and serious?
So I'll give you this. Let Bob Odenkirk's character arc get a little more goofy as he's starting to crack. But the one thing that took it off the fucking rails for me was the goddamn villain.
I hated the villain. It was the weakest part of the movie.
Yeah, I didn't like him
and
either.
You know
the
what? I
fucking
actually like.
dancing scene.
Well, you know,
like,
I like the juxtaposition of that, where he goes from
I
dancing
hated it.
to murdering the guy. If it would have kept that evil sort of tone, but then after that, he's basically just a big brother who's sad. Like he's no longer a mobster. He's sending goons after the guy. Like his character, the dancing was funny, and then they set it up with him brutalizing somebody. But then it's like the character goes nowhere. You made him goofy to start with. He can't be menacing now.
What was the Timothy Olyphant movie where he was the hairdresser? Was that
A Man
Beverly Hills
Apart.
Cop?
A Man Apart.
Oh, A Man Apart. Yeah.
Are you saying Timothy Olyphant or Timothy Olyphant?
Yeah, Oliphant. Yeah.
Oh, okay, because you keep saying plant.
Alex was saying Timothy Olive Plant.
Olive Plant.
No, I
And Fabian also had a couple of things that he said.
Yeah, Fabian has said said they got it on a lot when he was working. Then when he stopped, their marriage fizzled because he wasn't destroying people. And that's a theme. I mean, this guy, and that's an every guy theme of like you get older, you lose the momentum, the testosterone lessens. I think, but in his case, it wasn't that. It was he was a caged animal because by the time sorry, one more time, in a world like that, Fabian does have a good point. In that world, gold does make more sense. It's not trackable. Okay, but still. Like Lewis said, that you can't have those direct comparisons to John Wick, and Lewis is right because the tone is so different. But I will still maintain John Wick, all three of them combined have not as good a story as this movie. Because it's just one thing. John Wick doesn't deviate. It's literally, I killed people because they're trying to kill me. I'm trying to kill these people because this guy told me to. Oh no, they betrayed me. I'm killing more people because they're trying to kill me. This at least establishes a story beyond the violence. With that said, when the violence does kick into the later half of the movie, it is because you do have not to super spoil, but you have Christopher Lloyd in a warehouse that Bob Odenkirk creates saw traps in, just firing shotguns. Now I have a different take of it on rather than Lewis. I really like that. I like that goofiness of just fucking Christopher Lloyd throwing stupid one-liners out and I like taking naps and this and that, but goddamn did I miss this shit. I love it.
It was important. Exactly. I felt it was important to the movie because it allowed Bob Odenkirk's character to realize, I miss this too. This is
he reconnects
bred
with
in
his
me.
dad.
This is who I am. Yeah, I liked it. I know it's goofy, but I liked it. But I will say, when I started this movie, I was like, man, this is a lot like John Wick. And up until the bus scene, I paused it and I'm like, I have to stop comparing this movie to John Wick.
Yeah.
After that,
that's how I felt too. Honestly, that's how.
After that mindset, the movie was great. It was a great movie.
A reason I like the John Wick movies and that I like this movie, and I'll even throw Daredevil in it.
What?
And
what?
No, not the Daredevil movie, the TV show.
Okay. Fucking hell.
And I think of Leon the Professional, and I think of The Night Comes for Us. I like dirty fight scenes. Yes. I don't and here's my I was thinking too. I was like, man, if we can remake the '80s action movies we saw growing up, but make them a lot dirtier. I like the main character getting his ass whooped. I like seeing the struggle. I don't like
Rocky movies, basically, is what he's saying.
Exactly. No, it's the bus scene is so he's fucking up the other dudes, and it looks nasty. But the whole time you're focused on Bob Odenkirk because you're like, ow, that had to fucking hurt.
Yeah.
Ow, so that really had to fucking hurt.
Did you watch Officer Down? Because I know you weren't with us last week, but did you watch it?
I did not. I did not watch
Officer Down.
You would have liked that too then.
Yeah, you would have loved it.
That's how it was. I have an appreciation for scenes like that, and I don't want to make it sound like I don't like this movie. I do like it. I just feel like Christopher Lloyd's goofiness, along with the really shitty villain, just took it a little too far for me.
You weren't happy with Lloyd literally killing the guy with his shotgun and then holding his dying body down below him and just still not moving? I know that's goofy, but it's fucking Doc Brown shotgunning people.
I think the nurse would be able to tell the difference between a sawn-off shotgun and a boob tube TV with the volume up all the way.
Have you ever had people in assisted living?
They don't give a shit about people they're taking care of.
They don't care.
Turn the TV down.
That's the most realistic part of the entire movie. That person falling asleep and barely doing their job.
That was the struggle for me with this movie is you can have the sort of goofy scenes with Bob Odenkirk cracking and his wise quips to his dad and back and forth, but the scenes where it was like, all right, that just got very comic bookish. I was just like, just dial it back a little bit.
The end does. The end, he literally buys the warehouse to turn it into a death trap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
what body? You asked what happened to... the body in the nursing home. I think they have a line about it. No, RZA helps him dispose of it because he tells Odenkirk later on, like, who the hell do you think helped the old man? Which I would love more into that relationship. Like, it's obviously like an adopted son. Like, I'd love to know more what's going on.
Yeah, you see both of them in the picture, which I didn't realize that was the two of them.
Yeah, as kids, and it's like the moment I heard the voice, I was like, all right, that's RZA, and but I thought he was like his former handler, something like that. But it was much different. The moment he opens his case in his office, and the stereo he's talking to RZA through, I was like, that's fucking awesome, bro. Like, he's still in it.
That was cool.
I really enjoyed. Because I am a sucker for somebody like how you like the hero getting the shit beat out of him. I love the comeback in movies. The greatest part of 80s movies was every fucking main character got his ass whooped and then had that one scene where it was think of Schwarzenegger and all the close-ups of his angry face. True Lies. When he delivers the "you're fired" line. That's those scenes. He's got the shit beat out of him, he's back and he fucking slaughtered the terrorists. So when he does, like when Bob Odenkirk gets thrown through the glass in the bus and comes back and goes harder and fucking murders them, at that point I was all in. I know the goofy thing didn't bother me. I was okay with it. I was literally looking at it like John Wick is a movie that's serious, man. And I also want to ask, favorite John Wick movie? If you don't, just what is it?
Mine is honestly 2.
I like 1. One's my favorite.
Simple for me. I've only seen 1.
What is your fucking problem?
I haven't watched it. I don't. I've
this
got other
isn't
things
like
to do.
the Expendable. No, you don't. You play Call of Duty.
You would like all 3 of them.
Yeah,
I'm sure I would.
I like the same fucking
great.
storyline.
I like the first one, so I'm sure I would.
But I also
it's just more violence.
It's almost
so that's
like
that's why it didn't bother me that you guys were like saying, "Oh, it's like John Wick." The rest of
it's
them.
almost
he didn't give
like
two shits. He's like, eh.
It's almost like you can't have a favorite though, because really, the John Wick movies you really should just watch all 3 in one go.
Yeah, but I see my favorite is number 3 because that's when the fight choreography, like John Wick 3 is nothing but fight scenes.
Yeah.
And there's the fight scene in like wherever they are, where there's all the blades in the glass cabinets. They start shattering them and whipping them at each other. That's also when the raid team started coming in. And you have the final fight is actually, I know you guys not all of you haven't watched the raid, but the final fight when he's fighting the 2 shorter guys. Both of those guys, one was in the raid 1 and 2, and the other one was in the raid 2. So I felt the fight scenes in number 3 were the best. But one of my favorite scenes out of all of them is in the hotel. It is number 3, when the concierge pulls out the shotguns and shit. And they start dude. Number 3 is just balls to the wall. That's the fucking from start to end. John Wick 1 takes a little bit to kick in, and then it's pretty hardcore. Number 2 is pretty fast. There's a little bit of story. Like I literally just watched these movies like 4 days ago, all of them.
Well, watching Nobody makes me want to watch all 3 John
They're all in
Me
4K
too.
on the Vudu, and dude, they're so good. They're just
I really don't think it's fair to compare the 2 series, but it's hard not to, just knowing. Yeah, I almost thought I was telling Shay the other day because she watched Nobody with me. She watched. It's an interesting movie if my wife doesn't fall asleep, and cool. she's like the most casual movie viewer. And she watched the whole movie, and she asked me, she's like, do you think you'd have a different opinion of this movie if you had not seen John Wick? And I told her, I was like, I almost wished I saw this first.
Definitely wouldn't have to have anything to compare it
and then saw John Wick.
I've only seen the first John Wick, so I don't have the same thoughts that you're saying.
Well, I mean,
So,
a lot of the same stuff happens in this, though, in the first
Yeah.
John Wick, like the attack
Yeah.
on the house, and I mean,
Right.
his house gets burned down in the second John Wick, so I guess they kind of had both of those.
Shit. Shit.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem, to be honest with you. Like I didn't have any issue with it being compared. I mean, the problem with me is, had I not had John Wick to compare it to, I would have compared it to the fight scenes would have been compared to the Kingsman church scene, or
Okay.
That's a really cool scene.
some Scott
Yeah.
Adkins martial arts movie that I watched. You know, because that's the problem is, if you're not big into the movies with this sort of thing, and like you're only on mainstream, you miss a lot of the good that's out there. Like the Indonesia scene is huge right now, but there's a lot of stuff out there that like is really awesome in the martial arts scene coming from Europe. You know, Scott Adkins does a lot of good shit. The one guy that's actually in Nobody and John Wick 2, the guy who gets his teeth busted out on the bus, he's been in international movies. It's just we only look at the main. It's a lot like the horror scene. There's a lot of great straight to Netflix type horror movies that nobody watches unless you subscribe to Shudder and shit. And that's my problem with John Wick. I love those movies, all three of them. I'll watch them again soon, for real. I just watched them. But they have made the industry harder on action films. There's movies like Mile 22 with Mark Wahlberg that had John Wick not existed would have been a bigger action movie. Because it's hardcore, it's got the I can't remember his last name, from The Raid and all that in it. Fight scenes are solid, but because John Wick exists, that's the new comparison. I think it hurts the industry to where like people don't explore either. It's like, okay, John Wick's awesome. I don't need what am I going to watch? American Ninja? It's like
it's probably A-list names. Imagine if the first John Wick movie came out and it wasn't Keanu Reeves. That movie would have bombed.
I maintain the only other person that could have been John Wick had he been alive is Brandon Lee.
Ooh, yeah.
He would have been perfect had he been Danny DeVito. So anyways, I just started blasting.
You gotta put the hands up too.
I love.
We're gonna do
meme.
it like this.
That meme works well for everything. You can put that for anything. Fucking 4th of July. My neighbors complained it was too loud. Anyways, I started blasting. Works for anything.
Yeah, but I do. I know it seems like it's 3 versus 1 here, but this is a really good movie, and I want to see Bob Odenkirk in more roles like this.
Yeah,
I think
heart
this
can help
movie.
him.
Yeah, dude. When there's not many celebrities that like my heart's like, ugh. When I learned that he had a heart attack, I literally had to like, fuck, man.
You
Like,
guys are fans of Bob and Dave show, right? Like, I really hope so. Or Mr. Show with Bob.
Mr. Show, yeah.
I've seen a couple episodes. Yeah.
I think it's on HBO Max. Check it out.
It might be on Max.
Yeah, Bob Odenkirk is legitimately funny motherfucker, and the fact that you see him in this movie, and I love the fact that he's in really good shape, like he's pretty ripped, but it's literally not a thing about it. Like Keanu Reeves had the shower scene in the first one, and the slowly putting up his shirt over his tattoos, and in this one, it's basically like the only reason his shirt was off is because his wife, who hates him, is bandaging him up. But it's that scene where I get the distinct feeling that she knows. Like, she's always known. And the other thing is he does act like an alcoholic who relapses, or a drug addict who has relapsed. Like, it's very much him telling her, I'm sorry. Because the whole scene when he sends them away, she says, come back. Which tells me this has happened before. He's been lost in this because Bob Odenkirk, the man that you see in the movie initially, is not who he really is. He's a fucking murderer. And when he describes, because he tells the kids I was an auditor, and I didn't see combat. And then you find out that the auditor is literally the cleanup guy that disposes and murders every bit of evidence.
So actually,
my favorite thing.
Oh, good.
My favorite thing about us is when we talk about people, we don't talk about them as the character they are in the movie. We call them by their name the entire time we're talking about them. So familiar. So we got Doc Brown, we got Bob Odenkirk. We don't call him Hutch.
Joel Cinnamon.
Another thing that I want to bring up that made me angry in this movie, not Bob Odenkirk's lines. Some of the dialogue in this movie is hot fucking trash. Like his neighbor,
Russian terrorist guy too.
His neighbor too. He's like, this car goes 0 to 60, and I'm about to fucking find out. I was just like, who put that in the script?
I like to think that it was
If you
put in
owned
there
that
to
car,
be
you
to-
should have fucking had it.
But that was them trying to give you that douche chill. Like you were clearly
it
supposed
was-
to hate that, and that
You were
and
supposed to cringe on his
I
face.
also
yeah.
think without
Yeah.
that line, because that line is foreshadowing for later when he steals the car.
But that's the problem. It's so hokey. It's
Yeah.
like
It is very
think the best-
1980s movie.
The best dialogue in this movie is where he's explaining his background to the people sitting on the couch, but by the end of it, they're all fucking dead.
Yeah, he
And
finally
he's just
dies.
like-
And he's like, it was
That-
nice. It was nice having someone to talk to.
that was essentially like the sicko getting a jerk off on his
But that's the thing
his
is,
kink.
like, it's not explored enough. But he is a fucking
Yeah.
murderer. Like that,
Yeah.
and it's not that was his job. It's what he is. Because the whole movie is about him being a caged animal who the cage starts to break down, and he finally escapes when he does the bus scene. Like, that's the most fucked up part of the movie. Is John Wick? You know, he's an assassin. His whole career has been murdering high-end people for money, for gold. There's no distinction. The fact that this guy is a family guy, but deep down inside he's actually a cold-blooded fucking murderer, I think is way
That
more.
likes cats.
Yeah, way more. Well, his daughter wanted one. Is way more intriguing than the character itself of John Wick.
It did make me think though. Watching this movie, I felt like I was watching a sequel, and I wanted to watch the first movie. Like, I think it would have been cool. I do like this movie. I think it would have been cool to have the first movie, him trying to get out of the business, so you see the monster he is, and the second one, he's out and has to go back
Well,
in.
You get the distinct feeling that the only reason he's out is because he knocked her up. The only reason, I mean, he's been retired for how many years, and how old is the son? You get the feeling that he didn't. His plan wasn't to retire. That he's been
Son's
kind
a
of.
piece of shit.
He's been kind
Son
of.
looks like he's like
Well,
22.
but his whole concept is he's been trapped inside this family guy life that he never
He's a
wanted.
12, 22.
He loves his family. He loves his daughter. He loves his wife. He really does. But at the same token, this isn't what he wanted in life. And I got the feeling that he left everything once she got pregnant.
So out of my notes, that is something that actually I can read, that he does love his family. I did read that clearly.
From the
Out of my
hieroglyphics.
notes, that is something I can read.
But, you know, so
I can't read my fucking notes.
I don't know. Like,
took this
I understand the issues with that. I just appreciated the character that Bob Odenkirk portrays. I felt, as much as I love John Wick, I feel he's a stronger character than John Wick. I feel the fact that the beginning of the movie is his routine over and over. All that is, it's all, and this is a problem, it's all foreshadowing to the fact that his life right now is not where he needs to be. And he even
It's
talks,
making him feel like fucking shit.
he's in a trap. He works for his father-in-law. His wife, he said they haven't fucked in, what, years? And it's been months since they touched each other. And
when
they
when
don't
you say that he worked for his father-in-law, though, I think that is because he has money. He just is trying to put himself as a normal person.
Well,
Like a normal,
would
everyday
imagine-
person.
Well, you know, it's not a new job. It's almost like when he left the game, she was like, "Well, my father has a position at his company, and he's been there for 15 or 18 years or whatever it is, hating his fucking life because he's got to work under people
Yeah.
who are less than him. He can't show his true self. You know, it's one of those things where that's really the bad part is, for 18 or whatever years it's been, he has not been able to be him, and he can't do it anymore.
And the development of his character, to Matt's point, Bob Odenkirk does a very good job of watching him. When you first see him trying to live his normal life, I just made Anthony big on my screen. Give me a sec. Okay, we're back to normal. When you first see him in his normal life, and they break in, you can see his skills. Like, he still has them. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't attack him because the gun was empty.
I
You
like
know what
how
I mean?
they explain that later on.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like when he doesn't do it, you're like, I know. Like as the moviegoer, you're like, no, I know what this fucking is. You should have murdered that bitch. And then
But
you really
that-
like, yeah.
But then his murderous behavior takes over, and you see that when he goes after the family for his watch. He realizes, oh fuck, I didn't read them properly. I just let
necessarily
the
wasn't for the
skill
watch,
take
though.
over.
No, it was for
Yeah,
but it was for his daughter's bracelet.
bracelet. Yeah, he thought.
When he went after him, like he went after him with the gun, he was violent.
Yeah.
With the skill he showed when they were robbing him, he should have read, like, you know, they're just a family trying to get by. Like but then you see him crack. Like he's like, oh shit, I shouldn't be here.
In their apartment when he sees the little girl with the oxygen mask. Yeah, and that's literally his two worlds crashing. That is he's a father meets he's a cold-blooded murderer fighting each other in his head. It is a really awesome scene. Fabian says another reason is why I think they all knew. He says basically he thinks everybody knew in the family except for the kids and the brother-in-law. I argue maybe her father knew and her. That's it. Maybe her father.
It's, man, I'm going to play devil's advocate,
I feel like her...
I think of the scene you guys just described, and then I think of the fucking dude singing on the stage, and I'm like, did we need to go that goofy?
But why does it need to be mutually exclusive? Like, I can understand if, like, tonal imbalances, but the movie from the get-go doesn't present itself as a John Wick serious level of movie. So I guess
I don't think it does, but I think I feel like I switched over to America's Funniest Home Videos, like.
But how is it any different than a horror movie that does the same thing to break that tension, that energy? Like, horror movies do it all the time where it goes from some seriously dark shit to a lighter element to break it, especially the ones of old. I look at it that way where it's enjoyable maybe either way for it. What is Fabian? Jesus Christ, he's got him coming in. Didn't he say they were desperate? I don't know what that is referencing. Then her pops tells the son to shut up because and that is, Fabian does bring up a good point. The old man, the father-in-law, does tell the son
Ironside.
to basically, Michael Ironside tells the brother-in-law to basically knock his shit off.
And he also wasn't surprised about the gold.
I know,
he
right?
got the brother-in-law who fucking brings a gun to work.
So
no one notices. He's just like, here, take the gun. No one fucking like.
So the brother is literally what you would call a bro soldier. They are the the military shirts. I can't remember what they're called.
I got your six, bro.
They're the military. The shirts that have the military emblem on the arms. They're the Black Rifle Coffee exclusive drinkers. Like, that's that character, which I find very funny because from the moment you see him, you're like, oh, fuck that guy. Like, you just see him, no dialogue, and you're like, I already hate this fucking guy.
I do like when Odenkirk punches him in the chest.
Finally.
He's like, calm down.
And one of the things that I like is the weirdness they kind of give Odenkirk. Like, he literally half murders a bus full of bad guys, and then because he crushed his windpipe, he performs an on-the-spot tracheotomy and saves his life, which is interesting. And it's to me throughout, and maybe this is why the movie it does have tonal imbalances, but that concept of the two lives crashing together.
What happened to Anthony there?
The best scene in this movie that made me almost spit take, which you can even clip it. It's the scene. You almost did it again. What?
You almost did it again right now just by thinking about it.
Yeah.
When you started laughing. You started laughing the way you started reacting to it. Your thoughts?
No, the scene where the fucking dude in the hospital bed gets a chair thrown at him.
Yeah.
Dude, I almost died.
That's
because
the guy.
It came out of nowhere. It came out of fucking nowhere, and it beamed him straight in the head.
And poor stuntman had to take it because that's what he's been doing for years. And like literally, it doesn't look like there's any padding. And it doesn't look like a digital chair either. It literally looks like, so he's going to whip that fucking chair at you from off camera. Cover.
No, I feel like they didn't tell the stunt guy.
What the fuck?
He's just going to walk
What is this, an episode of Jerry Springer? Waffle House at 3 in the morning?
We want the best reaction, so we're not going to tell them. All right, let's do it.
But I think that's my problem with the villain in particular. I think if the movie would have had these awkward, funny scenes around what's going on, but didn't have him seem as such a fucking joke compared to Odenkirk, because it didn't even feel like a level playing field.
No,
like
it does, once Odenkirk is full Odenkirk, it definitely feels like the villain is like outmatched. The problem, to your point, they do create that feeling by making him like pull out dozens of dispensable goons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which, I mean, to be fair, the John Wick movies do the same thing. Like, the baddies typically aren't on the same playing field, especially in the first one.
Well, the first one, there's even... I actually thought he was a great villain because he was the only person in the movie that gave any humor. Like, he's the one that, does, like, with the fucking pencil. Like...
He died, didn't he?
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, the guy passed away.
Sucks.
He was actually the main character, the girl with the dragon tattoo, original European trilogy.
I think the weakest part of this movie is the villain in it.
Yeah, I
For
would
me.
have loved a more, because the problem is the villain never feels like he's like, not that it doesn't feel like he's an actual threat, but throughout the whole movie, there's never a moment where you're like, Bob Odenkirk's not going to make it. And
Dude,
I
even
and,
with the
Oh.
and
even
even
with
John Wick
the
gives you that moment where he's getting shot up and he's really like the end of John Wick 1, he's really fucked up. And I will agree, literally Hutch, Doc Brown, and RZA fucking kill how many dozens of people?
it's like a weird version of the Avengers. Doc,
I love Doc Brown. I'm saying
I'm
saying
sorry,
it again.
man. I
I'm
didn't
saying it again.
I didn't
I loved
like
him.
his character in this movie. I love Christopher Lloyd, but
I thought it was great talking about how he loves naps and late lunch, but he missed this shit. It's the greatest.
It goes back to the text I sent you guys earlier in the week. The fucking street's moving, Doc.
The one thing I do have a
Not gonna
problem
make
with
any
on this
Michael J.
movie
Fox jokes,
is
right?
the villain, and the movie doesn't do a very good job at trying to build him up. Like when you watch Bob Odenkirk's character develop, you're like, yeah, this guy's a badass. He's a badass. He's an unchained bomb. Like we know he's gonna go off. I can't wait till we get to it. There's a scene where they take was his name's Julian. The villain's name is Julian. They take him in. He's in the club. He's dancing. He's singing, and then he
Right.
almost kills a guy, and you're supposed to be like, oh,
Well,
he's tough.
He does kill a guy, but
Yeah,
the thing
they don't
about it
take
is,
him serious.
you
yeah.
literally broke a
Yeah.
bottle and stabbed him to death. Like,
Yeah,
there's
it's
no
like-
skill in that. You're just a cocksucker. Like,
They try and
realistically,
paint
you're
him up
just
as yeah.
you can be brutal. Like, what is it? I will agree the villain is the worst part of the movie. I do
Yeah.
wish there would have been a serious, like, Russian mob connected type thing where when the goons come out, like, I mean, and I really hate the villain in this movie, in the RoboCop reboot, but I think a villain like that would have been much more effective than the dancing
Yeah.
buffoon we got. I will absolutely agree. And I think that's where a lot of the tonal problems come from, is if those Goofy scenes wouldn't have been in there, I think the balance of Goofy to not would have been a little bit more tolerable for you.
so I
Karaoke
do.
singing Russian.
Yeah, I was about to fuck out. Just eliminate that part from the movie. I do see though that obviously the guy's talking about he wants to do a crossover. However, they are writing a script for a sequel for this movie.
I
Which is
want a
cool.
sequel. I want a
Nice.
prequel.
Well,
I want Bob
leaves it-
Odenkirk to milk this fucking franchise. I
Yeah.
want to see
It
more
leaves it-
fight scenes with Bob Odenkirk. Like,
Yeah,
throw him into
the-
Better Call Saul's last season. Oh, did anybody watch any, like, I saw clips of him when he was doing his training. I was watching him on YouTube.
No, I
And
haven't.
it's funny because, like, when he starts them, he's got his normal hair, like his Bob Odenkirk hair. And then they started training, and then it was like 4 or 5 months while he was filming Better Call Saul that he would literally film and then go train after filming. Like, he would put in an 11-hour day and then go do jiu-jitsu and martial arts training and physical
Jesus.
training. So
Wow.
it is cool to see the behind the scenes because he literally has his normal Bob Odenkirk hair, and then you see him with the Saul hair as he's training. So it's all like he's got a bald patch and it's a shitty comb over, but he's doing the martial arts and shit. It's like they should have gave him this hair in the movie. Like, I
Yeah.
would have loved that.
I did read that they wanted him to bulk up, and he goes, "No, I'm not gonna do that.
Well,
I gotta stay like this."
To his credit, he was pretty ripped. Like the one,
Yeah,
the
he's
one
in good
scene where you
shape.
actually see like.
But they wanted
without a
him to
shirt.
bulk up. They wanted him to fucking bulk up.
You know,
No, I'm glad he
"Oh."
didn't.
You know, considering the guy had a heart attack, him bulking up could have killed him.
What? Yeah, it would have hurt him even more.
Because
Yeah.
that's more weight on a traditionally thin frame. Yeah, I'd have to agree with him. I mean, I think the shape he was in was perfect. Because, like, he's not fat. He clearly keeps himself, and I'm talking character-wise now, clearly keeps himself in good shape, but he's not a steroid either. And, like, I think if you had a Schwarzenegger in this role, despite the fact that he basically did this role how many times, wouldn't have worked so well as a Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, no, not at all.
He wouldn't have fit in that goddamn Charger.
But
He'd be
I'd
fucking sticking out.
I'll tell you right now, I'm all for people taking comedians of old. Like, give me a Ron Livingston action movie. Fuck it. Let's
Ron
do
Livingston,
it. Ron
Jesus.
Livingston, let's do it.
See,
Steven
but
Seagal still
man,
makes them.
I like
There's a
the
joke.
idea of a
You ever get a case of the
crossover.
Mondays?
I like the idea of a crossover between this and John Wick because you give me like a serious, slightly awkward Keanu, and you give me a Bob Odenkirk who's unleashed, and kind of like jokey and funny. Like that would be a cool dynamic between them two.
They would have to bring it into wherever. I don't remember where this movie is set. It's California, right?
I think so.
They would have to bring it to him to the point where, like, John Wick, he's a former buddy of John Wick's. Or working relationship kind of, acquaintance. I wouldn't want to see him fight John Wick. I'd like to see him in a scene side by side with John Wick.
That would be badass.
Well, I do also like the aspect of, like, if they were to team them up, I like that Bob Odenkirk is not a gun fu dude, and I like that he essentially created that warehouse to be a saw trap. Like, I want to see more of that.
That was the whole reason he bought it outright, was so he can murder dozens of Russian mobsters. It's I really like that about it. I thought it was a little goofy.
He gets away with it scot-free.
Yeah. That scene at the end is also nice, where he's smoking his cigarette and he's petting the kitty, and it's like, you're free to go.
Feeding it tuna.
But to Lewis's point, it is very 80s movie style with those type things. Yes. The whole being let go at the end from the mysterious call. There is a lot of tropes that, beyond John Wick, have already kind of been beaten to death. I think the problem is you haven't seen these in a while, and when you put him into a movie like this with the seriousness of him being able to murder anybody he sees, the 80s doesn't balance, because 80s movies, even action movies, were goofy. I mean, Lethal Weapon is an action comedy. Tango and Cash is an action comedy. Even movies like Universal Soldier have comedy scenes in them. Like we just reviewed that. The scenes like the cafe. So I think part of the problem is this movie, not problem, I mean, depending on how you look at it, I enjoyed it, but I enjoy that type of shit, is the imbalance is they are touching the roots of 80s action cinema, and I don't think it translates super well into the new modern action movie.
I want to see a sequel, though.
Yeah.
I would like to see a sequel.
Well, because they set it up at the end when he asks if there's a basement. But which, once again...
Doesn't the wife ask if there's a basement?
Yes,
not him.
She knew the whole fucking time. Her, at a minimum, knew, and I do think maybe the father-in-law. Because the father-in-law doesn't fuck with him. If you notice father, Michael Ironside stays gives him... He's got a nice big office. You don't see... He's not the boss that barges in and commands orders at him. He has a very much, like, don't fuck with Hutch type demeanor. And I feel it's because he knows.
Like I said, I think she knows. It's just that's the first time he's brought it home. I don't think she's ever physically seen it. She's probably seen the aftermath of his damage.
Like he's disappeared and then come back fucked up type thing?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I can see that.
So her reaction coming out of that basement, I think it's like, oh shit. Like she's never actually
wait, you have one of these? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why at the beginning of the movie I was kind of like, she knows. And then I saw it again. I was like, no, she doesn't know. And then at the end, I'm like, okay, I'm lost now.
For her character though, I don't think she had the right chemistry.
She had the same chemistry as
she's gonna be recast.
Walter White's wife by the end of the show with him.
Oh, fucking God.
Like she skipped all 5 seasons and went right to the end where she hated him.
Jesus.
But they'll be recast in the next one.
That also does play into though to the idea that and this is where I do actually kind of like her character, because if you look at her in the idea that she knows who he is, and this isn't the first time she's dealt with this, it's much different. Like you can, when you understand that sort of thing, although she never openly disrespects him. Like when you notice, the interaction between her and him is much less of a this fucking guy like the kid does, and much more of a kind of I'm keeping my distance.
Even though they're not having sex, or she's not disrespecting him in any way, saying, you're a piece of shit.
And that's the thing, is if she didn't know what he was capable of, she'd be motherfucking him in front of the kids.
The reason why we're not having sex is because you can't do this, or some shit like that.
And even when he brings it up, she doesn't slam shit in his face.
Or she knows, she's afraid and knows that he can make her fucking body disappear.
Literally, that was his profession. And I love how he describes it too, where he was like, they have these guys, and then I was the guy that comes in and cleans everything up. And it's just the fact that when they talk, when he's doing breakfast, and he's like, I was an auditor, I didn't see action. And then you find out what an auditor is, and it's like, fuck. When he's telling these auditors, they call this that because you don't want to see us. And it's like I do, but now that I
So they
think,
clean up on the inside of their own crew. Maybe.
well, no, they were. He was being rented out. He was a mercenary for the three-letter agencies,
okay.
basically. They'd say, "Oh, this is an asset that needs to be taken out," and he was the guy that did it, and he loved it. Is the feeling I got, and the past 15 or whatever years of being a father has killed that inside of him to the point where he's just got to get out.
Dude, I want to see a prequel.
The music was
him
good.
and RZA on a mission.
Yes, or I want to see that story of them growing up.
Yeah, that too. I'm surprised there wasn't more hip hop in this with RZA being involved.
Damn, you racist.
No, I like. No,
RZA
RZA is a good producer.
RZA's put out some good shit. Yeah.
No, RZA is a good producer of music, and he's not just hip hop.
You know who?
But I'm surprised that there wasn't more.
You know who I like that's also been dabbled in acting and I like his music too is Mos Def. Like people a lot of people don't like him. I like Mos Def.
I liked him. I liked him in that what's it called? The one with the TNT fucking show, the Western. God damn it, what's it called? It ended anyway, so who cares? But I did like Mos Def. No. With fucking oh god, Adam. Oh no, now I'm gonna have to look it up.
Google Mos Def. Yeah, Mos Def comes from the days of real hip hop and not this mumble rap shit.
Yeah.
One of the coolest scenes for me was when Bob Odenkirk is tied. He's like held up behind that car, and RZA is fucking sniping from the window.
Yeah,
that
you see the window break. As soon as the window breaks out, I was like, "It's RZA," and then sure enough, those moments in this movie are I love those the most though because they are old school action movies.
Yeah, harkens to that 80s buddy cop, like Rick showed up just on time.
Yeah, and you know what? It is formulaic as fuck. It is overused in cinema as fuck, but I love it. And that's why maybe you're right about the tonal imbalances, but for whatever reason, I blew right past them. I fucking ignored any of that and just loved the movie. And I think it is because it does strike that kind of 80s of like, fuck it, we're going to do this. Let's make a warehouse where they kill everybody.
I don't think this movie can work without Bob Odenkirk though, and I know he's the star of the movie.
Well, okay, so is there anybody? Think anybody, and now you can even think fat or skinny because he was a little bit of a chunky boy. Well, he's not fat, but he had 50 years of weight put on. You know, he's an older dude. Who do you see? Who could be this role?
I don't know because the reason Bob Odenkirk works is not just because he's good in this movie, but because he's Bob Odenkirk. He's the anti-John Wick. You would never picture him in a movie like this. And he did such a good job of being his character, but still kind of like being funny in small micro moments that you... Like any other studio would have been like, we need to get like a Mark Wahlberg or like another like.
Mark Wahlberg didn't have a dad bod. Fabian says dad bod. He didn't have a dad bod. He was ripped. He wasn't big, but he was all muscle. No dad bod.
But you know, a typical studio would be like, oh, Mark Wahlberg, Vin Diesel, like. There's like an insert action star name, and that's why Bob Odenkirk was perfect for this movie.
So you know who I think would be good for it is. Speaking of the big name, he's not really that big of a name. He does mainly foreign films. From Game of Thrones, the blonde brother. Nikolai something, I think.
Nikolai Costa.
The one with no hand? The one-hand guy?
Yeah. I think if you've ever seen the movie Shot Caller, or I just watched another one where he's a hunter. If you watch Shot Caller, because he's not an action movie star, but I think he would have been okay in this role. Oddly enough, Vince Vaughn comes to mind as somebody who I would have been interested in maybe seeing in this role.
I can see Michael C. Hall.
Michael C. Yeah, but they already did that. They already did that with American. What the fuck with Jesse Eisenberg? What was the not American Assassin? Jen, what's the movie with Jesse Eisenberg? American Ultra.
Yeah, the fucking...
That's the problem with that is they did that kind of like nerdy, skinny nobody, and they've also done it with Zombieland, and like, I think Jesse Eisenberg cornered that market. Michael Cera's aged out now.
By the way,
No,
my
I said
dumbass.
Michael C. Hall.
Oh, Michael C. Hall. You know what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have done that.
Because he seems
I thought you
like,
said Michael
an
Cera.
No, Michael C. Hall is another. Like, you need, like, Bob Odenkirk is perfect because he seems like an everyday
smaller
guy.
stature.
Just like,
well, like, even Dexter was ripped. Nobody talks
Yeah.
about that, but Dexter was ripped. Underneath his, like, weird silk shirt he used to wear. I don't know what that was made of. It looked comfy.
His baggy clothes in Miami.
It always
I'm trying
looked
to think
comfy.
who else.
He always wore baggy clothes in Miami.
Nowadays, I mean, a Chris Pratt would work, but would he? I don't think would Chris Pratt be able to do martial arts? I don't know. He seems kind of he's already he seems stiff to me.
I feel like Chris Pratt is too built for the
Yeah.
role.
And I don't think
know,
he's still.
man.
I don't
He
think
gets
he
way
still
too much
has his.
credit. He's not that.
I don't think he still has his serious attitude towards acting. I think he's still more comedic right now.
Literally every movie he's in prints money. Like at this point,
I know.
He's too
I'm not
busy
saying he
fighting
doesn't.
CGI dinosaurs and fucking flying in fake spaceships.
But every time you see him, you still see that comedic person.
Yeah.
You can't see a serious person.
What is the last?
He's
serious
slowly
role
building
he
his way.
did? Has
He's
he
slowly
done one?
building his way towards it, though.
Has he done like an actual drama? Passengers?
think
I
so.
haven't seen that though.
Passengers is a really bad movie.
Like that's the thing is I don't. To you're right though. I can't think of a single movie he's been an actual.
I think he's
lead in.
capable of doing it, but I just don't think he's done it yet to where he's convinced everybody.
No, he definitely has. I can't think of a single movie where he's a serious lead.
Mhm.
Fuck. Even Jurassic Park has it's many Chris Pratt comedy moments.
Back to my flub though. I confused Most Def with Common,
Oh,
which I do like Common, and
I
do
don't like
Mos
Common.
Def. I know Common has when he acts in his movies he sucks, but in the TV show he did on Hell on Wheels, he was very very good. He was
greatest
very good in
common
that movie.
scene ever is
Or
when
TV
John
show.
Wick stabs him in the fucking chest on the train.
He's in John Wick.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! Now I gotta watch
Him
it.
and John-
During
him
the-
and John
the
Wick
walking
have-
scenes where they're
Him
Uh,
and John Wick have 2 fight scenes in that movie.
Mhm.
Now okay. I'll make sure that I watch it this weekend
I can't stand Common
or
because
at least this week.
Common's
in
in
a
it. I'm
commercial.
aboard.
he's in a commercial that kept airing talking about artificial intelligence, but instead
Yeah.
of saying AI, he says AI, and I can't fucking stand it, man. Can't fucking stand it.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
um,
Jen went to school with a daughter of his.
Yeah, he's a bad actor though, but he's good in Hell on Wheels. So that's I'm just saying I like him in that.
You know, I started Hell on Wheels and I watched 2 episodes and it was fucking boring. Is that another 1 season take show type thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
I have to give it another shot then. Because I watched the first 2 and I was like,
I
I like
haven't
the
finished it,
atmosphere, but Deadwood was interesting from the moment it started. This is not.
Well, I like Anson Mount a lot, so when I saw that he was a part of it, I was sticking with it just to see what happens.
Yeah,
So that's where that happened.
Same thing with Supernatural. I tried to watch. I'm not a big fan of Padalecki.
He's good. He's good.
Padalecki. So Fabian, I know he's from Chicago. Jen went to school in Chicago.
Just because it's from Chicago doesn't mean it's good.
Doesn't mean you have to support him.
Yeah, I don't support a lot of people from
So is
Chicago,
fucking
namely
Kanye.
everybody. Hey, don't talk shit about Kanye. He's on the. So can somebody
He's
explain
got
to
the
me?
baby and Marilyn Manson.
Can somebody
fucking sitting on stage with him.
explain to me why those 2 guys were with him? Like, what was
They're
the symbology?
the,
Like, we're the ones that
the-
nobody likes anymore.
They're the canceled Avengers.
Jesus. Fucking sexually assaulting one woman at a time.
Performing live in Chicago, Illinois.
Well,
Soldier
one of
Field.
them went on the anti-gay rant, right? And
That
then
was the baby.
Manson. Everybody was shocked that the piece of shit in Marilyn Manson turned out to be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And then Kanye.
That's
people
the
need to get
equivalent
over
of the
Kanye.
Germans being like, "Oh, Hitler was a bad
yeah.
guy."
Yeah, like literally,
sure?
it's Time
Really?
magazine going, well, we had him on our cover. You sure he's that bad? He was on the cover. He can't be that bad. Yeah, no, I don't understand that. It's the whole idea of like, literally Marilyn Manson made his image by tearing Bibles up and telling people "fuck you," and we're shocked that he's a piece of shit. What? Like anybody who
He
even
did what
liked
to
his
women?
music back in '90s would go, yeah, no, I like that song, "Beautiful People," but he's a total cunt. Like. That's just the reality of it. Like, he's always been an asshole. And ever since his music turned to shit, a la after that album,
Mechanical album.
what fans does
Mechanical
he
Animal.
have? Like, literally heroin addicts are the only fucking fans he's got because they can shoot up and drift off to his garbage. No, his new music's garbage. The album with Mob Scene was okay. American Antichrist was good. Even his stuff when he was playing around with nothing but electronics was okay. But
With Trent Reznor, that was with.
The dude is like a boring version of Meatloaf. He makes fucking goth rock nowadays. Have you ever heard "If I Was Your Vampire," which is a song I actually like?
Is that Meatloaf from Fight Club or Meatloaf before that?
Meatloaf from Fight Club's not Meatloaf. That's Bob.
Tits.
That's Bob with bitch tits. Yeah, you don't crossbreed those two, buddy. All right, you guys ready to give the hot dogs?
Yes.
Oh.
Let's stick with the trend. Alex, give me a
right.
review.
Where the hell?
Poor Val Kilmer, man.
Love you, Val.
I love
Sorry,
Val.
buddy. Rip Val Kilmer.
All right.
He's not dead.
Oh shit!
Jesus Christ.
Fuck that one up, didn't I?
He's gonna die after this episode.
That's not my fault. It's
Great
whatever's
going,
eating him
man.
from the inside
Fucking
out.
Cursed him, you fuck.
I didn't. I cursed him. No. The curse is already in full effect, buddy. All right. If you say him dying is I'd say that's sweet relief for the poor guy.
He's fighting. He's got his fucking his little voice box put in there.
I am Batman.
It's his voice now.
Well, yeah, that is actually really cool technology. Sorry, please, your hot dogs, Alex.
All right, back to me. Because of Lloyd, it gave me one. It gave me one. Because of RZA, it gave me two. Because of
boners?
fucking
What are we talking about?
I'm making my way up. You
Okay,
know, my rating. So because of Bob Odenkirk, he added another two, so that's 4 for me. I'm gonna go 4.5 because of my enjoyment of the movie. There was, like I said, there was spots at the beginning where I wasn't understanding if his wife knew. She did. I thought she did. I didn't. I was trying to figure that out. But I really did enjoy the movie. 4.5 for me. There's a whole cast in there that surprised me. Just to fucking see fucking Doc Brown again. And it wasn't that he... Huh?
And Splinter Cell.
Oh yeah. He was later, like fucking for like 5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes.
He wasn't in it. I actually kind of wanted more of him. I liked his character.
And the fact that he wasn't like just like a cowardice, dad or whatever.
He didn't mistreat him at all either.
Yeah,
like, you expected
he had a role.
He
had a role that could be expanded.
Yeah.
He had a role that could have been expanded.
I still say he knew.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed how he fucking he comes and tells his dad, "Hey, Dad, they might come for you," and he was like, "All right, I'll take care of it." Former FBI agent, I like how they used him, even though he's retired. He may not have much interaction with the world, or like he can't move as much.
Anyone else get the distinct feeling that Christopher Lloyd was a fucking murderous psychopath, though? Like, if his son,
might have been.
If his son turned out that way, odds are it's because of the old man. Like,
well, the three of them together, the reason why they're all like that is because of whatever's from him.
Yeah, it is almost like he literally took in 2 children and raised them as assassins.
Yeah,
there is more story. There is more story to that.
Christopher Lloyd's so old. I wonder if he even knows he's in this movie.
That's not nice. You show that man some damn respect.
That's Doc Brown, damn it.
Run for it, Marty!
2.21 gigawatts!
You show him.
The kids, Marty. They're married to black people.
Yeah, we're okay with that. Oh, okay.
So 4.5 for me. I really did enjoy this. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Jobo.
My turn. This was a 2 for me. No,
unexpected, but okay.
I do love this movie. It was a pleasant surprise, and I will say, like I said, up to the bus scene when he really turns over to who he really is, I had to pause it and remind myself, don't compare this to John Wick. Yes, because of John Wick, we probably wouldn't have got this movie.
Not this style of movie, no.
Yeah, but don't compare it to John Wick. It is not John Wick. And when you do that,
I didn't have that problem.
That mindset.
But Common's in number 2. Gonna watch that soon.
It was really good. The villain, though, holy hell, that was the big problem for me. The villain in this movie was just out of place. But kudos to that last kill scene. I loved that last kill scene.
Awesome.
The
It was
Claymore
amazing.
strapped to the riot shield is a fucking awesome way to murder someone.
Yeah.
That's some shit you
Yeah.
only would see in fucking Call of Duty. I'm just saying.
Yeah. For those who don't know, you get a riot shield in Call of Duty.
Yes.
If you don't
When it
know,
works.
then fuck off.
When it works.
Well, the game.
If
It's
you don't
free.
get the reference, yeah, it's free unless you take in how much time and fucking patience you have to expend in hard drive space to play it. It may be free monetarily.
A 4.5 for me as well. I enjoyed it
Right.
quite a bit more than I thought I was going to. And once you remind yourself, if you've watched all the John Wicks and you go to watch this, don't compare it. It's
Yeah,
its own
you like
movie.
relish?
if you
Let
haven't
it be
watched
its
all
own
the
movie.
John Wicks, Common's in them, so go watch them.
He's in the
4.5.
second one at least.
Common's Ghost is in the third one, so Alex will watch it too.
Spoiler alert.
Maybe. We'll see. Now you're pushing it. I don't like his ghost.
Go watch The Raid, for one thing. If we want to really talk about what started what, go watch The Raid. It wouldn't be John Wick without The Raid. We want to get real about it. You don't have John Wick's choreography unless you have movies like The Raid. And, hell, let's talk about 80s Kung Fu movies and 90s Kung Fu movies. You don't have any of this without Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
So, like...
The Drunken Master.
This is the new evolution, and I think the problem is we're going to have to snap out of the, oh, this is like John Wick. Because whether we like it or not, every action movie from the Fast and the Furious series to
Started somewhere else.
they're all influenced by John Wick now. All of them. They're all using the same stuntmen. They're all using the same the fight choreographers. If they don't, they look tacky. So we have the understanding for action movies that deal with fist fighting needs to be it's going to look somewhat like John Wick in its attempt.
That's where John Wick becomes its own worst enemy.
Yeah, because now it has to compete against every other fucking movie on the market that's emulating its style. Which once again, like in my opinion, The Night Comes for Us is a much better martial arts movie than any John Wick and this movie. It just is. But it's a different type of movie entirely. That is not. It is mainstream because Netflix did it, but it was mainstream only because Netflix bought the rights. Like, had Netflix not bought the rights, it would have been me at 3 a.m. going, "This movie looks neat," and watching it. And that that's the unfortunate truth about it. Lewis, you still got your hot dogs to give.
Oh boy, this movie for
7.
me is a 3.5. I want it to be a 4, but I knock it down a bit because, like I said, some of the goofiness is a little too much for me. I feel like the chemistry of the
Christopher Lloyd hater.
I feel like the chemistry of his family, just they're not great. And Christopher Lloyd does not fit. He doesn't work in this movie for me, but I still love him.
Disagree.
So yeah, it does knock it down to a 3.5. I do think you should watch this movie. You should watch it because Bob Odenkirk does a fucking fantastic job.
Everybody-
RZA is actually
whether
really
you,
good in the movie.
Like Lewis,
Yeah.
whether you like the way they go with like everybody who's in it acts pretty well, except for maybe the
Yeah.
wife, who once again I do kind of give.
And
her
the son.
Well, the son plays it well because you hate him and you're supposed
Yeah.
to.
Okay,
Like,
I got you.
Yeah.
The wife, when you take in the whole movie in context, is not as bad as you think she is in the beginning. Even acting wise, like there's a reason why the chemistry is dead between them. And I think in that matter, they were very effective how they acted with each other because you, from the moment, feel like, oh, they hate each other. Like there's no more love there. But yeah, I think everybody overall did a pretty good job in how they acted. I don't think it was like, besides, and once again, is it the Russian mobster's fault or is it the piss poor writing of his character?
The dancing Russian.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know that
if
actor,
you-
so.
If you do watch this movie for 3 scenes specifically that will sell you on this movie, the bus fight scene, the ending saw trap, and the guy getting a chair randomly thrown at his face. Those are 3 reasons you should watch this movie. I want a loop of that because we literally, like, we saw it. Shay like fucking was laughing as hard as I was, and we kept rewinding for like 10 seconds just to see it randomly.
I'll put it this way.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna put it in the edited version of this while we're talking. I'll get it in there. Don't worry.
Like, can we stop doing the milk crate challenge and do the film yourself throwing a chair at your spouse's
Somebody,
face?
yeah,
we
yeah.
will call it the Waffle House challenge.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens at Waffle Houses when brawls break out. Fucking chairs get whipped. You ever been to an IHOP at 4 a.m? It's ugly. Nowhere to sit.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, Waffle Houses that I've been in don't have separate seatings. It's all booths.
Smart. Can't get them ripped out of the thing.
You can't fucking throw a chair in a
Tables?
Waffle House. So maybe IHOP.
Not to be
maybe
compared with the waffle stomp challenge. Please don't submit videos.
Yeah.
Do not confuse it.
That's
a different
on a
shit.
different site entirely. I'm gonna be straight up. I'm gonna give it 5 hot dogs, and I'm gonna give it 5 hot dogs, probably for every reason Lewis gave it 3.5. It seems to me that everything Lewis didn't like about this movie, I either flat out ignored and it had no impact of my enjoyment, or enjoyed. Like Lewis, as he's describing it in my head, I'm like, no, fun movie. Like Lewis literally hates Doc Brown fucking character arc in this, and I just wanted more of him shotgunning and saying one-liners.
Exactly.
I was so okay with that.
You know what? As I was watching that and I see fucking Doc Brown bursting with the shotguns, in my head I'm like, Matt loves this scene.
I was
I
was smile on my face. I one shitty one-liner after another. I couldn't get enough of it. I loved it from head to toe.
Can I ask you if it's not too much trouble to try to edit, take the guy getting hit in the face with the chair, which is it's like a 3-second scene.
Oh, I can get that.
Like it hits him, he reacts. But at the beginning, could you start it with the Pornhub intro, and then it just goes into him being hit in the face with the chair, and that's the clip?
I will do you one better. Now, do you want the actual Pornhub logo? Or are you just looking for the sound?
No,
the sound first.
And then chair to the face.
I'll do you one better.
Chair.
Throughout the edited version of this episode, that clip will play of the sound and then the chair being thrown.
Oh, man.
That'll be in there. Give me a week. It'll be out. You guys will see it next week.
No joke. There were scenes in this movie where I'm like, I don't like this. This isn't what I wanted, but I know Matt's like fucking just jerking off in front of his TV.
Literally, when he puts the claymore on the riot shield, I creamed my jeans. I mean, it's awesome. Like everything, like, and I understand it's goofy, but for whatever reason, man, it hit the right notes where I loved everything. I took it all in, and yeah, because I love martial arts movies, I not only compare it to John Wick, but you guys know how much I watch martial arts movies. I seek them out. So I compare it to all of them, and for me as a big martial arts movie fan, I love how you can see the influences into like 80s kung fu influences or the wide angles where the two of them are paired, you see them both on camera fighting all the time. The 90s came in, and that's when you started getting the different angles, the Jackie Chan angles where the fist would fly and the camera would be right where the fist is. And then you see the Matrix influence in the action movies, where when Matrix came out, every fucking action star knew some form of a martial art. And then now you have it to where John Wick has come out, preceded by The Raid and this new influence of the Indonesia action stuntmen and martial artists. I like the direction that's going, and I think as a film goer, much like how you've seen horror movies shift, we do have to accept the fact that John Wick's style is going to be in the blood of this, because that is the new modern day action. Like if they remade Die Hard, he would do Gung Fu.
Oh wow! You think that?
Yeah, I absolutely think if Die Hard was remade, he would be still the average guy, but but he would be the guy that still was able to slide around. He wouldn't be doing karate, but he'd be doing his street brawling, and he'd still be just as tough.
Do you think it would be like Gun Kata? Like from Equilibrium?
Oh gosh.
No.
I love Equilibrium, but there's one bad thing about that movie is the shooting, where it's like the end with a fat villain. They're just like they would be permanently deaf.
Yeah.
If you ever seen Equilibrium, if you watch it to the end, you would understand that they would just what? And then, like literally, it's like I'm the villain. What? You just shot a gun next to me. several times. Like they would all be deaf. Let's be real. But anyways, yeah, no, I think it's. I do find it funny that you and I are kind of opposites because it is kind of like everything you didn't like, I ate up like it was.
Normally the two of you are on fucking cohesiveness, but
yeah.
Alex is over here. Alex is legitimately offended you didn't like Doc Brown in it. He's like, "Are we even fucking family?"
I am. I love Doc Brown in this.
I think it was great.
This is his rebirth. He's gonna come back.
Fabian says that he thinks the bad guy works because it shows how badass he is. He can be horrible at everything, but still so dangerous. You cheer because if you don't, you will die. See, I disagree. I think the bad guy's weak because he doesn't do anything. He kills the guy. With the bottle, and then he lets his goons do all the rest of the work until Hutch, claymores his ass. He was ineffective. They used him for a goofy fucking villain who was supposed to then be menacing. I'm sorry, watching a Russian pop star sing and dance, I can't look at him as menacing thereafter.
Maybe he was the C-list that they're bringing to you.
I don't want that in these movies.
Remember we were talking about
doing the comic book movies. Give me a badass Russian, or at least one.
I know, but I'm saying maybe that's what they were doing.
No, you go C-list, and the bad guy's Danny DeVito. We don't want C-list and
Danny DeVito's no C-list actor. God damn you. He's at least B.5. He's on.
I love the DeVito. The DeVito from this movie.
Yeah, no, but I like the Danny DeVito from Throw Mamas from the Trains.
But yeah, please let there be a sequel. This movie needs a sequel.
All right,
it
guys.
does. I would love to see a sequel to this one.
Yep.
Yeah, and the sequel needs to be balls to the wall. I think they need to introduce more of the past of him and the wife and clearly explain who knows and how they know. And things like that. Yeah, I would love a sequel to dig deeper into it and then go like, he's clearly activated though, because they call him it's like, was this place on the basement?
Kind of a throwback to our last episode too, the Officer Down. I really hope that they come up with a fucking sequel. I know it's years. I know it's years.
I think
later,
it made
but
$8,000 or something in total in box office.
Do it. I mean, it was crowdfunded, whatever.
Yeah,
I think they should. I think
really
they should. I liked it.
I wish they would too, but I don't. I mean,
and the way it ended, and like the post scenes too, man. It's set up for a sequel.
The problem is,
they did it well.
The actor's kind of he's aged out. I think at this point. I mean, that was made 08 or some shit like that. Maybe not that old, 2010, 2012. But even then, you're still looking at 6 or 7 years removed, and I don't know. Yeah. And I just don't think there's going to be it didn't do well. Even the DVD sales only made. I think it was
Canada.
32,000 or some shit. Like it didn't do anything.
Which
I love the movie, but final thoughts, and then we're gonna end the episode.
My wife did make a funny analogy that made me chuckle. She said when we were watching it, she's like, Bob Odenkirk's character seems like Mr. Incredible in the first one, where he has to kind of hide that he has these super. Like he just has so many moments where he's like, I can't
That's nice.
So
yeah,
Fabian does make a good point. He said the sequel would have to be about the Russians coming for him from burning their money. Yeah, I'd agree. Unfortunately,
unless you're the Joker.
All right, so we haven't done a live episode in a while. We're gonna try to get back to doing a monthly. We don't fully know yet next week what's going on. We'll choose the movies, and I'll get this edited version out by next week so you guys can see.
I thought we were doing Muppets Take New York and Pat next week.
No. Yeah, I didn't start this podcast
Muppets Take Manhattan.
to just let it be garbage.
Not New York.
Movies. You couldn't even do good SNL movies like Coneheads, The Ladies' Man, anything with David Spade and Chris Farley in the 90s.
Night at the Roxbury.
Boom.
It's on my list.
Movie.
I would.
It's on my list.
I like Night at the Roxbury. That movie's
Which one?
Stupidly funny.
Coneheads, it's on my list.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that.
Coneheads is good. I still like that movie. All right, guys. Everybody have a wonderful night. Thank you for joining us.
Active chat, Julian and Fabian, salute.
Thank you, gentlemen. See you guys soon. We will see you next week. You'll have this edited episode out. And then
also, Jen, by the way.